Mesh is my counterpart who will be here shortly. And this is essentially what we want to talk about. Maybe it's going to work. I might have to pull the mouse over here. Technical issues. All right. So we're going to talk about, of course, LG's lineup of OLED TVs. We'll also do LG public display mode, going in, setting up our hospitality or hotel mode. A lot of people are familiar with. Also, what's changed with IP control. Talk about our QNED TVs. If we have time for it, before the end of the session, we have a TV setup and settings recommendation, things to do out of the box to get the most out of the product. And then last but not least, we'll touch on soundbars and then definitely hit on projectors, which we've got 2 of them up and operational in the room today. So a lot going on. By the end of the session, the whole idea is that you'll be in a position to present to your customers why they will want LG's G3 OLED, which is the one that we're going to put a lot of emphasis on. Explain and show how our QNED TVs are great options in ultra large. If you're trying to go really big, but they're on a budget and OLED's sort of over that, we'll look at that product. And then also how our public display mode, our hotel mode, can be helpful in getting things set up. And also where to find key materials that you are probably going to want as resources. Things like sell sheets, spec sheets, and that kind of stuff. We have a one-stop shop for all that information. So we'll get to that. But first, we want to talk about, this is a hallmark year for LG and OLED. As of this year, 2023, we are celebrating, well, I'm holding this, but 10 years in the OLED market. And wow, think back a decade. We had a 55-inch OLED, curved 2013. What happened? I ran her off already. Rochelle. And as you can see over the past decade, we've had our world's first 4K with WebOS. We had a paper slim display. We had OLED HDR, the first with Dolby Vision. We had the wallpaper. And then our Alpha 9 became the first processor that was truly designed and dedicated to get the most out of our LG OLED panels in terms of performance. And we'll talk about the latest that we're doing with that. First, 8K, I think still the only 8K you can get on the market. The OLED R, the only rollable TV, which is also an LG OLED. And we are now on our 3rd generation of panel technology. So OLED has definitely gotten better over the years. And let's think back 10 years real quick. Back in 2013, we brought out OLED. A lot of people were saying things like, oh, this is just a replacement for plasma. It's not going to last. You're going to have problems with all these, image retention and things like that. Would y'all agree to some of those statements? And what has actually happened with OLED during that time period? It's grown. More screen sizes, more series, more manufacturers have gotten into it. We're seeing new iterations of OLED. So it's actually bucking what the soothsayers were saying back in the day. So this is all good news. And we're doing things such as having the world's smallest to largest OLEDs in our lineup. And you'll see that we're starting to branch out into lifestyle products where it's taking OLED and trying to put it in different configurations to better match those sort of requirements that your customers may have beyond a standard OLED. So we have all these resources available to you for sales. Now for 2023, this is going to be the basic lineup. We'll start with the B series. Think of it as base level OLED. We'll have C, which has always been our best-selling and most popular series. G is really where we want to talk about, and the R and the Z's will carry over. A, if you heard about it or saw it previously, it was the 60 hertz OLED. It's gone away. We will not have that in the US market. So it'll be B, higher, everything 120 hertz or better. In terms of lineup, we will still support from 42-inch all the way to 97-inch with the 77 and 88-inch 8K OLEDs. We're seeing acceleration in 77 and 83-inch because customers want what? Absolutely, and we're definitely making that the possibility now with the 97-inch G2 OLED. Anybody sold a 97 yet? Boom, you get a hat too. Well, that's all right. Hey, right or wrong, participation gets you free stuff. So I've got another set for the second half. So I want to get rid of all of this if we can. But when it comes to OLED, G3 is really where we think that you want to put your focus and efforts for a multitude of reasons. And we're going to talk about the tech and what sort of sets it apart from the rest of the lineup, as well as when you're doing sales and marketing, why the G3 is a better solution and a little bit protected compared to everything else in the lineup. Quick show of hands. Who all has sold and installed our G-Series OLEDs previously? Most everybody. Anybody who has it so far? Okay, so good. Oh, we're all good. All right, perfect. All right, so one of the cool things that we did this year is LG's been doing this push into AI. Everybody's doing AI, right? And if I were to ask you about your customers, if a customer called them and says, hey, this OLED doesn't look the way I think it should look, how do I fix it? Well, what do? We tell them to bring up the picture menu, we adjust brightness, color, contrast, gamma, color temperature. Do customers understand those functions and features? No. I mean, we've been doing TVs for decades, longer now. So we've employed AI with our TVs. And I'm here on the G3. If I pull up the menu and go into picture mode, there is a picture mode now known as Personalized Picture Wizard. And instead of going through and setting brightness, contrast, color saturation, all that, it basically tells the customer, we're going to walk you through 6 screens. And on each of these 6 screens, all you have to do is choose the image that has the look or feel that you want or you appreciate most. Very simple stuff. Now, you can choose 1 or 2 images. So on this one, I think that's got some good pop to it. I kind of like that one. I go to the next screen. That one's got sort of the pop image-wise that I like. So I'll just do this one, just 1 image here. Go through. These have a little bit more pop to them. We'll choose those. So just these appeal to me more than the others, so I chose them. That has more pop, and we'll do just the 1 flowers. So I just made selections on each one of the 6 screens. Now, when I hit next, it's going to calculate one of 85 million selections based on what we selected to create an image profile and even tell us sort of what we chose. So it says, you like clear and colorful pictures. So this would be sort of the reference. That's what we chose. I basically apply that. And now we can see it running. I had them pretty close earlier, but now the Personalized Picture Wizard, do you see a difference between the 2 TVs? I got a lot more pop. I got really good saturation. But does it look overdriven? Does it look, craggly or overprocessed? It looks really natural and very simple. And what all I have to do? 6 steps. Yeah, just follow along. And if the customer doesn't like it, they can always go back and rerun the process. It takes 15, 20 seconds. And boom, they can get a personalized picture setting based on sort of their visual preferences, not knowing the technical aspects of things, that certainly presents itself very well. Is that really cool? Yeah. So if a customer says, how do I make it look better? Well, go into the Personal Picture Wizard, run the 6 steps, let me know what it looks like. Questions? I don't know yet. We'll tell you here in a little bit. So, question. Yeah, when you turn to it, it'll become default, but just like any other picture memory or picture setting, I can always go in and change it back to a more calibrated, accurate sort of mode. Yes?
Is that on the G2 as well?
Not on the G2. This is brand new for 2023. So hat and hat. Y'all ask questions. Always good stuff. All right. Keep things moving along. So this is one of the ways that we're using AI in a good way, not to destroy humanity, could be part of the concern. And I've got remote here. So that's one thing that we've done. And the other thing is that when it comes to customers, I know it's a little bit different in CI. What percentage of your customers are gamers or game, would you say? Just it definitely growing big time. A third, about 33%.
A lot of people don't buy very expensive TVs for their kids, who are using the game, but it is.
Okay, so and the cool thing is those kids or younger customers are starting to put more emphasis on gaming as something that's key in their TV purchases. Now, for LG, if I look at all the requirements for a PS5 in terms of getting maximum performance out of the system, they support 4K 120 with variable refresh, HDR10, and I need auto low latency, and I can do HDIG. Xbox Series X actually has more features that you can capitalize to get even better gaming performance, like AMD FreeSync Premium, and you can do Dolby Vision. And by the way, only a very small percentage of TVs can do 4K at 120 hertz with Dolby Vision simultaneously. All of the LG TVs that support Dolby Vision at 4K 120 can. You're not going to find that with our big competitors. One doesn't support Dolby Vision, and one is capped at 4K 60 with Dolby Vision or 4K 120 without it. I think they're actually getting an update. But anyway, gaming PCs, there's even higher spec. But if we look at all the LG OLEDs, the B through the Z series, we support everything that you would need. And even our Q85, which is here to the right, supports everything but G-Sync. And because gaming is something that we do on our monitor side of the business, we have a function on the G2 and actually all of our TVs that if you have a gaming console and you hit the settings menu, instead of this coming up on screen, there will be a game dashboard. It'll show you your frame rate, whether you're doing AMD FreeSync, G-Sync, but I can still show you the optimizer, because if we jump into the main menu, get rolling here, go to General, our game optimizer, which when it detects a game console, which we didn't bring a PS5, Xbox Series X, or a gaming PC, when it's connected and you hit that settings button, instead of doing the quick menu, it brings up first the dashboard, and then you can get into the optimizer. So I can very quickly go in and set game parameters very quickly. Bring it over. I have sound parameters. I can make sure Dolby Atmos is active. And I also have picture parameters. So black stabilizer is one of those things, if you're playing on some TVs and it's a really dark game and you're in a cave and you keep getting shot because you can't see who's shooting at you, stabilizers, you increase the number, it raises the shadow detail. So you can actually special tune it for the game optimizer mode for gameplay. I personally game on an LG C2 OLED right now. It's the best gaming experience with an Xbox Series X I've ever had. It's phenomenal. In fact, what sizes of OLED do we offer through our lineup? 42, 48, and those are becoming very popular desktop screen sizes. So if you have a customer that's into gaming or their kids are into gaming, it may not be a 65, 77 OLED. It could be a 42 or a 48. So definitely keep that in the back of your mind. If you're looking for performance gaming, you have options, which is great. Cool.
I saw that menu there, but is there still an auto thing? Like some games don't.
Oh, auto low latency?
Yeah, they'll switch from 60 to 120 versus like in-game and like the menus.
Oh, variable refresh rate.
Yeah.
We support everything from 40 hertz to 120. Completely variable. We support FreeSync on the Xbox Series X, VRR on the PS5, and auto low latency is automatic. When you activate auto low latency, basically pulls away processing that I don't need on a video game that I would typically use for video processing. Our input lag runs somewhere between 10 milliseconds on the high side down to about 5 milliseconds at 120 hertz. It's blistering professional gamer fast, which is great. So it's always a great gaming experience on an LG OLED. All right, where are we headed to next? I got to keep up with all my remotes and such. Okay, now in LG's lineup, our base model has our Alpha 7 processor, but our G and our C, they get the Alpha 9, which is our top level processor designed to get the most out of OLED using special algorithms for brightness, contrast, processing, and we're going to show you some of that now. One of the things that's brand new as of last year is we are using a new configuration of the OLED panel. More brightness potential, and to drive that, the Alpha 9 has the ability on our C series, well, I can do it here. The brightness booster, if I go with our C, can get me up to 20% brighter over our B. So in our lineup, we have a B baseline, 20% better brightness on the C. Last year, the G2 was up to 30, so about 10% higher than what we would get on the C. But this year, the G series, if it's 83-inch, it's the 30%. But if we do the Brightness Booster Max, we have a new light control architecture. There's a hardware solution that is more effective at getting light out of the OLED cell and into the room. It even gives you wider, more consistent viewing angles. Not that OLED was bad to begin with. The other thing is the Brightness Booster algorithm, which is here being driven by the Alpha 9, can push that even further up. So with that in mind, Let's see what I want to go to next. This is perfect. You go back a notch. All right, to answer your question, what are we looking at here? Right now, we are looking at the C2, which is the same brightness potential as the C3, and a 65 G3 next to it. Now, they look pretty similar, pretty close. I'm running them both in cinema modes. They're relatively accurate, but I'm kind of sandbagging because at this point, this is running at peak panel brightness, and I have this one set on under brightness. Menu's taking slower than normal. Go to advanced settings. I want to go under brightness, and I'm going to take the peak brightness from low. Let me know if you see a difference when I fire it up. Let's wait till a bigger bright scene. Okay, so that's, yeah, it was bright before, it matched up to the C, but now maxed out. On the 55, 65, and 77 screen sizes, this new light control architecture and brightness booster max will get us up to 70% brighter than the B-level series OLED. So you have this really nice progression. B base, C is brighter, and there's other things that the better processing we'll talk about. And then the G, 55 to 77, is the brightest that we've built yet. Yes, whoops, let's go back. One thing else I gotta do. Okay, we're on Cinema Home. I was trying to go back to, now can we see the difference? Yeah, it's almost blinding between the two. So number one, it's not a small increase in performance at the G3, it's significant. Now I'm getting pretty much mini LED sort of level of brightness and peak, but with that true black in contrast of OLED. With very, very rich colors, we cover essentially the full spectrum of DCI-P3, which is what your 4K content, your HDR content is being delivered color-wise, because that's what they're using in Hollywood. But we see a difference? But wait, that's not all. Wait, there's more. If you want something that it really punches in a bright room, remember I said this is Cinema Home. If I push this over to Vivid, yeah, oh, I heard, oh my God. Look at that. And what's nice is LG engineers have gotten really good at taking Vivid with HDR content, and it doesn't look like SDR Vivid content where it's just blown out and terrible. Color balance is still pretty good. Grayscale is pretty clean. It's got lots of punch, but man, that is crazy. And by the way, this is our QNED 85 mini LED. And if I put it in Vivid, comparatively, because these are the things y'all want to see. I don't know if I've got all the settings maxed, but that's it in Vivid compared to that in Vivid. That gives you an idea of the light horsepower that TV has. Are we excited? I mean, we wanted OLED to be bright like an LED. Now G does that. So when your customer says, I want the best, I want something great, we'll talk about the other reasons. There's a simple reason why. It's got the best brightness, it's got the best punch to it of all the TVs that we have. Let's try a little bit, I'll try a little bit more different content just to give you some variety, and then we'll keep things moving. This is last year's, but technically the difference between it and a G3 or C3 are about like this. You're not going to see much of a difference in terms of brightness. It's all of the new stuff that we've incorporated into the G that make it so significantly better. Let's do this one. We're going to change content so it looks a little bit different. But this has more of a mix of content on it. And again, I'll let you look at the differences, but if you need me to point anything out, but just even that, I should have captured that. Oops, it moves faster than I do. Okay, yeah, look at the difference between the two. When things are moving really quick, it's kind of hard to do comparisons because the scenes change, but just look how intense. And we're not white here. This has still got color tint in it. But I'll just let this run, and you tell me which TV your eye is typically drawn to between the two. And
This one's got a lot of black detail in it right here.
right?
When you pause it, there's more detail in the black.
Okay,
Maybe it's good.
possibly. And if you have more brightness, you're going to be drawn, your eye is going to look for more brightness. And it's interesting because your cornea will literally shut down a little bit when you look over to this one. It'll make dark details drop a little bit, but on its own, it's fine.
I like the
Yeah, people are, definitely, customers are drawn to light like moths. All right, I wanted to balance something out here because a couple things we want to talk about. Oh, there's the personalized picture. We're gonna go back to Cinema Home. All right, quick question for everybody. HDR, legend or myth? Because has anybody else found that when you're watching a lot of HDR content, you're like, I know this is supposed to be brighter, but in reality, I feel like it's darker. You know, that like The Punisher, I watched the whole series on Netflix, and I was like, God, is this thing ever gonna brighten up? Dark scenes tend to look really dark. Is anybody else seen sort of the similar issues, especially with, I'm getting some head shakes, which is good. There is a reason behind that. And whoops, what did I do with there, I'll just punch the button here. Nope. Oh, here it is. You're gonna find that I lose my remotes all the time while we're doing this. Too many things to push. All right, so one of the new aspects of LG's AI Picture Pro is, I may have frozen this. We'll do the demo, it'll make all the sense in the world. The problem with HDR is that HDR is typically brighter than what the TV can reproduce. So what most TVs do is they look for the brightest pixel in each signal, or the signals it comes in, and they make sure that the TV squeezes the picture down so you're seeing the brightest pixel, the darkest pixel. But if it was dark to start with, everything gets dark. Let me show you an example of that. We're going to go into let's make that. All right, so if we go into the picture menu under brightness, advanced settings, go to brightness, dynamic tone mapping. We're going to change that to bright also. We'll talk about that. But tone mapping, I'm going to turn off. And I'm going to go to a scene that just seems to highlight this really easily.
You tone mapping frame by frame?
Oh, frame by frame, and not just that. Okay. Normally, you're looking at the scene as a whole, right? Well, the problem is you can have areas of dark, you can have areas of brightness. What LG did last year is we broke the picture up into 5,000 quadrants, or bricks, or blocks. This year, we break the picture down into 20,000 blocks, look for the brightest and darkest pixel, and tone map, not the whole scene, but each individual area to give the picture more pop. So we've got this scene from The Revenant, which is, as you can see, a dark scene. And okay, if I watched it originally, I wouldn't think anything of it. But dark scenes can be made to look too dark. So if we go in under settings, and by the way, this AI Picture Pro, the Dynamic Tone Mapping Pro setting is active as a default, but we give you the ability to turn it on to show it off. Let me know if you see a difference when I turn it on.
Yeah, right.
Wait a second. You know what? I think it punched me into the wrong mode. You know what? I'm doing it from the wrong spot. I always run this one from the actual media player. And because of the content difference, it will have more effect. My bad. Sorry. DTM Pro. All right. Now we go into it. And you can probably see already the difference. Advanced settings, brightness. Gotta go off of the personalized picture mode. Go standard. And I'm making this much more complicated than it should be. but you can see the dynamic tone mapping. Any difference? Is anybody able to see a difference when I push the button? Yeah, it is crazy good. Yeah. So we're looking at, it's almost like two different TVs. And that's because of the processing power of the Alpha 9 Gen 4, literally breaking this down into 20,000 different blocks or zones that it processes individually. And then when you do the Dynamic Tone Mapping Pro, it is 20,000 blocks every frame. Rochelle, what was it? A 90-minute movie at 24 frames per second is how many frames?
Doing every one of those breaks.
Did anybody say wow? Yes. Oh, you said wow. Okay. Did I give you a hat or anything yet?
I need a hat.
You need it. You need another hat. See, you participate, you get free stuff. You know, it's not a bad thing. Look at that. My throw was even good.
So, do you turn that off for non-HDR content?
For non-HDR content, it's not even available as a setting. It's only applicable to HDR. So, and it does turn on by default. I'll show you another scene. Again, more of a brighter scene. It's already active, and of course, it looks good. But again, if I go into the settings, we go into advanced settings, and then hit brightness or after. Yeah. So if somebody, customers want a more bright and vibrant image, G3, and of course, you can actually get the Dynamic Tone Mapping Pro on the C. The G has more brightness horsepower to start with. So,
And if we adjust stuff on that, like the contrast and white level on the screen.
yes. It's actually all works in unison. So it's all calculated as one output, essentially. So, the question. You had something else, Renee?
Yeah, is every HDMI input on there handling HDR?
Yes. Yeah, on C series and our G series both, all four of the HDMI ports, 4K 120, 48 gigabit per second, they do it all. You're not getting the 2 and 2 like a lot of the competitive products. It's because we build our own chipset for our TVs. And so that's why for several years our premium OLEDs have had 4 full bandwidth, VRR, all the accoutrements of. I know everybody. We have a competitor that's what they want to talk about. What 90% of their training is processor. Just to give you a quick rundown, with LG, if you can get me a HD signal, starting here with HD, we have a new AI super upscaler. It's a one-step, one-shop, so anything from 480 to 4K, 1080 because you don't upconvert 4K. It's making that transition with one pass. We can even detect the scene and give more contrast. We have Dynamic Tone Mapping Pro, which we've seen. We have that object and expression enhancer, so I can bring out more brightness or detail. So you give me something decent in HD, and I can give you something on the back end that looks pretty phenomenal. I know this because if I watch Netflix, you can pull up, if you hit the 3 buttons below the 0, the 3 dots, press that and select information. In the top left corner, it'll show you what the bandwidth and the resolution of Netflix is in real time. It's kind of cool. We have a bad connection. I live in the country. So it could be 480, it could be 720, it could be 1080, it could be 4K, and it'll fluctuate, but I'm watching it. When it hits 720, I can't tell the difference between 720 and 4K on our TVs. The up conversion is really good. In fact, talking about that, let's go and look at where's the other remote? I know there's another remote. Where did I put it? Is it? It's 3 here. Let's hope this is the button for which one came up. Okay, perfect. Life is good. Yeah. All right, let's go to get this into the media player. Media player. Is that right? Okay, we're going to go Alpha 9. Whoops, too fast. All right, Roku. Restart them. And I'm going to check settings to make sure we're on both cinema. Standard. Oh, we're going to pull that off a picture. We'll do standard on both. All right, so just quickly looking between the two TVs. Which TV is the one capturing your attention more so, and why? The one on the left or the right?
On the right.
The right, okay. So what is standing out to you on the right that draws your attention away from the one on the left? Okay, more detail. I can see into the image deeper, richness of colors. Of course, that extra brightness gives that contrast that really gives you the pop. I mean, we're getting mini LED pop with OLED black simultaneously. Amazing. Anything bad between the two? Other than this one just doesn't look as bright? No negatives? All right, here's what I want to show you. If I bring down the information, we kind of did, whoops, let me go back, because this didn't play the right one. All right, do it again. Get on, somehow I jumped the shark on that one. All right, again, everything remains the same, right? No difference, this one still has the pop. Okay, more clarity in the darker areas. We're getting very finite, but hey, I like the detail. It's good. Well, I'm going to take a seat in the chair and watch. But nothing is standing out as problematic, an issue. We'd be happy to have either one of these TVs in our living room watching them, right? All right. What we've been doing with this, we have competitors that talk about processor. And then what do they show you? Great looking 4K content. So I do have great looking 4K content on the left side. You can see 3840 by 2160. On the right side, you're only looking at a 720p version of that same content. Yes, way. So proof is in the pudding. Thanks for not saying anything. Kirby saw it before. But yes, we are processing so well that we can take 720p, which is less than 1 million pixels, and through super scaling and up conversion, you couldn't tell. In fact, you thought that this one looked better because of the added pop, contrast, and brightness that it offers. Is that awesome? So LG has really been killing it. We're doing all the great things that you need. So sold. All right. Sean is taking orders in the back of the room. I'm going to skip that for now. And then we have another competitor that we tend to run up against. And let's see what I do with the remotes. I ran off and left them again. Where are they? Yeah, I need a tool belt just for remote. All right. I need a bucket. I need something. Aha, it does. All right, so always ready is our answer to what? A frame, yes. This is and we actually do what they do in a lot of ways and more. So you can set it up in the menu that when you turn this TV off, the G or the C, it will go to one of 5 different, background. Hey, I'm enhancing your lifestyle because you pulled the TV off the fireplace and now you've just got a dead screen when you're not watching TV. So once it's in this mode, I just push up and down on the remote. You can play music. You can even download that. It almost reminds me of one of the wellness places you go in. They've got these healing things playing in the background. You can it'll download to the TV and you can play stuff to give you sound while you're in your living room. Or, nope. Funny you should ask that. All right, so I can pull up clock. You can bring art pieces in, and you can download more for free. We don't charge you. There are full collections that you can download for free right in the menu itself. I come back over here. We have not only artwork, but animated artwork, which is kind of cool. And these are free for download. But who mentioned your own artwork? Excellent question. Remind me to get you a hat. If I go back here, Moments is what you can go and download your own. So we brought this in on a USB disk. You have to have 16 images minimum. Because it's an OLED, we still like to rotate them over just to be safe, and we'll talk about image retention later. But if we're on USB disk, it'll cycle. We brought these in, we even put the frames around them, but you could put your personal images, family photographs, kids, grandparents, 50th anniversary. You can load a USB drive, and then every time you go to it and you say, I want to go to my pictures, it will play off the USB.
Will it play a frame on the
No. I'm magic with editing, so sorry. You can actually do, if somebody is creative enough, and maybe Rochelle and I start a sideline business where you send us the pictures, we put the frames around them. But no, we don't have a built-in where we've been asking for that for several years, but yes.
We have a frame available for that?
No, sorry. Just Kirby says just strap some wood around your TV. It work.
It was that or a Connect box. So.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Ooh, Sean. He goes, it's either this or a Connect box. So, all right. So cool. Very cool. Very nice options. And the way that you activate it is you turn the TV off, have it always ready set as an option. And when you do the turn off, it'll go to that first. If you need the TV to go completely off, you press the power button again, and it cycles completely down.
And then you just let it play whatever, it won't.
No, it'll run 2 hours and then it'll stop itself.
Okay.
So it does have a limit on it. And we'll talk more about those, but yeah, that looks amazing.
Yeah.
So in the
What you're showing there is not available.
what the camel? You need a camel? Is that what the frame? No, again, actually,
Your own video.
well, I know, I made that video. So we pulled that camel will come up in this. So yes.
Bait with
Showed up the pictures on there. Like,
Oh,
not on
I see what you're saying. Good point.
There's a lot of options for frames under artwork.
Okay. Wrong one. Let's see, go back. Go to options.
Yeah, under art.
If we go select photo, you can see light sensor on. Tell them.
Right. Well, it's not just so the light sensor, the motion sensor, it also is to a lot of company that we're working with up in Massachusetts called Frame My TV. You might have heard of them. Yeah. So we're trying to figure out a solution without, putting a big huge notch in the bottom part of the frame. So we're trying to work it out. That's the reason why I don't have that as an accessory.
When it goes
Got
into this always ready mode, it's a semblance of an off command. Is it still going to react to IP commands from the control system?
Yeah, it's almost like it's in a zombie sleep mode where it's kind of hanging there doing its thing. But at any point, I can come up and grab the remote and back button out, or
Any of those through that standby menu, if you will, always ready menu.
so if we do this, if I hit the home menu, it takes me right back out. I don't have to come out of it. It's sort of a active, I'm doing my own thing over here mode, but you can bring it back any number of ways. You can hit the input button, you can launch an app, you can do all sorts of stuff.
Or you can for 2 hours, if you just hit the OK button, it'll bring back up your inputs, and like you said, the home screen.
What's the longest it would play?
2 hours post. But if you did like a wake up in the morning, you could turn the TV on and then send a command to turn it off, and it would then launch always ready. So if they come in for coffee at 6 o'clock in the morning, boom, you could actually have artwork and stuff already running if you set it up as a automated macro. All right. Right.
2 hours in the car, you go to dark.
Press the OK button again, it kicks in. It's just a fail-safe because it is an emissive display. Yeah, for 2 hours. For 2 hours. 42. Yeah, we can get you a 42 that will do that. Yeah, we'll do it. We'll do it.
So that you won't have any burn-in?
Burn-in's come. Well, let's address burn-in a little bit further into the presentation. I got some good stuff,
Well,
Sean.
I have a and I still have not burning, and that thing is on all day, every day.
We got some really good information from an outside party about OLEDs and image retention and whatnot that might be important to discuss, but we'll hit that a little bit later. I do want to talk, we are on the 55 through 80, I'm sorry, through the, 77 inch sizes, C and G series, using a composite fiber material. So that 77C is only 51.8. We're getting weight savings. That 65 is only 36. So if you end up in a situation where you need to put something on a really long swing arm, but it needs to be like a 50-inch TV weight-wise typically, you can actually, our 77 weighs what a normal 50-inch TV weighs. So you can put that giant screen on a very lightweight mount. So it gives you some opportunity, and we were setting these up yesterday and pulling them out of the box. You lift it and you think, how is it this light? But it's OLED. It's not all that material, no extra backlights. It's all directly driven. So if weight is an issue, we've tried to make them lighter and lighter every generation. We talked light control. Oh, I do want to show you a new filter that we're using on the sets. I can do these. Go back to media player. I'm just going to come out. One of the things is when you put an OLED in a bright environment, depending on the light on the screen, it's plugged in. Show you something kind of cool. All right, we're going to hit this, brighten it up. When I hit this, I'm going to brighten it up. Wrong way. Full max. These look equally bright, right? Sorry. All right. So you can see it kind of reflects in this screen. So it does diminish it from what you saw this way. But if I come over here, notice it gets even dimmer. I don't know if you can see the difference between the two. But if I do this, so what's interesting, if you have lights behind your seating area that are going to be hitting the TV, this new super anti-reflective on the G series might be a better choice than the C series.
Can we see that with something funny?
Yeah, I can do that. Let's start this. Oh, thank you. I might take it. Smart Alec. That's funny. Back up. Oh, not that far. Oh, of course, it never runs the way I need it to. All right. Stay with content plane. And I can get on time aligned if you'd prefer. Oh, it's amazing, isn't it? That's hilarious. Yeah. All right.
That one is versus the light off the film a little bit.
The one on the right.
Yeah, it absorbs it. It has a larger glow, right? Yeah. It kind of makes it dimmer.
So the nice thing is that they're getting better and better and better. This is our best yet, and it's interesting. If I have lights from the side, the C actually does a little bit better, but if I've got lights in the room, the G is definitely going to be your better choice. So just, there is a difference between the anti-reflective, anti-glare on the TVs this year. See? You learned all sorts of stuff today so far. All right. All right. Now, who all said they've installed a G series previously? Just about everybody has done it. So, you know, it's very small, low profile. It's great. The bracket that goes in, if you haven't, who hasn't done a G install? We're going to hand you the bracket. All right, hand it over. Comes in the box, of course, with all of our G products from 55 all the way to 97. Yes, on the G2. And then on the back, whoops, I can show you here. You can see the mount is actually where it goes, it is inset, so it mounts really flush. And if your wall's pretty plumb, you can get the back of the panel pretty much right up there. So it sits very much like a very thin piece of artwork on the wall. Do know that if you're running cabling for a 55 or 65 and you want to run a flangeless back box on the wall for power and to run your cables through, you're going to want to be towards the middle of the TV, kind of middle bottom. And then for the 77 and the 83, that inlet for cabling is more towards the bottom left. So if you're doing the 77 or higher, more bottom left, 55 and 65, more towards the bottom center. So just be aware of that. And if you haven't been through, we do give you a template, shows you what the 55, 65, 77, 83 top point will be, so you know exactly where to put the mount. Put it into the wall, of course, pull it off the wall. We've got a couple of guide tabs you can throw on it. You put a back box so it doesn't collapse when you're putting the TV on the mount. There are 4 cleats that you will sign or line up with. There's 2 safety clips, 1 on each side. You'll pop those. Make sure your cabling is run. These are cable latches. So if you run cabling, it will help hold it in place and flush. So when you go to push it, the cable doesn't break free and you can't get it flat against the wall. So that was smart on their part. Power cable comes in, goes over on the 77 and 83G. It's the same on the G3 and G2. They have these nice little guide tabs you can put above the cleats on the TV and bring it in, line it up with the red and the blue, and then push it onto, let's drop the cleat into the receptacle here, or into the cleat, sorry. Box keeps you from accidentally pressing it closed without it seating. So once you do that, you remove the paper box, you lock down the safety tabs, and yes, I would use gloves so you don't get fingerprints on it, or do it before you pull the protective sheet off, but you can push right above right in the same plate as the mount to get it as flush to the wall as possible. I'm not aware of anybody having damaged one of our sets. You're actually better to do it there because it will seat easier, but more than comfortable to be able to push straight on. And there's about 3 to 5 degrees of wiggle room. So if you don't get that bracket perfectly straight, you can slide it on the cleats and get it leveled out perfectly straight. Simple, easy. I could even do it. On the G2, it's a different mount. There's a left and a right side mount, because I'm thinking from the back side. All of our OLEDs do have VESA standard mounts, so this is a 600 by 400. And by the way, that 97-inch is only 123.5 pounds, which isn't crazy heavy for a TV that large. Kirby probably remembers what those old Panasonic plasmas were back in the day. By the way, do y'all need this type of information? CADs, mechanicals. We have a website called reachlg.com where all of that is available. You want to sign in, register as an LG custom installer via Next Level. And the beauty of that is you'll be able to go in and get CADs, mechanicals, there's public display mode information, IP mode information, infrared code information I think is still up there if you need that. If anybody's still using IR to drive their TVs with universal remotes. All that information's there. If you need a spec sheet, if you need a sell sheet, which is more of a, I'm trying to sell you the product, all that stuff is downloadable. You could get it in PDF format and be able to deliver that with your bid via email. So we have all those resources, and we'll talk about that again here in a minute. There is a 97-inch floor stand available. It's a monster. Most of you are going to hang a 97 G2. We're not going to the G3 yet because it was a Cedia introduction last year. But this stand is sold separately if somebody wants to put it on the floor. And confidence. The G3 in our lineup has, as far as I know, the longest OLED and maybe even the longest panel warranty available currently in the marketplace, 5 years. 5 years of support on the panel. We'll cover full first-year parts and labor if something needs to be done with it. Years 2 through 5, we will supply the panel. The customer will pay for the labor to put it in. And people go, well, why not 5 years parts and labor? Well, logically, we have dealers who like to sell extended warranty. So if we keep the labor cost out of it, it still gives them the opportunity to sell it on this. We want us to be supportive of everybody, right? And while we're talking about confidence, what is the biggest concern with an OLED? Right. How many of you in here are familiar with the website Ratings, rtings.com? They do, independent testing. They're really pretty good about things. But they've started a 100 TV long life study where they are running TVs. And guess what they're using as the source? What channel would be the worst one to run on a TV? I heard ESPN, they're doing CNN, which actually has the red logo with the white background on their ticker, and it's nuts. So after 2,000 hours of running 100 different TVs, this is on my laptop here, they found that the newest OLEDs in the market, using the newest technology, after 2,000 hours, we're starting to show noticeable image retention on the product. And they've tried to compensate for it, and it's not coming off. Now, they also have tested LG OLEDs going back to our C10, which was 2020. And in the same time period, they're not seeing image retention on the LG OLEDs. And probably a couple of reasons for that. But our other competitor that also uses LG panels, in the same time period, they're actually seeing some image retention. So only the LG, and I can send you the link where y'all can actually view this, but only the LG panels in the front stage 2,000 hour, which is simulating of a year of watching CNN, were the LGs not showing any sort of image retention. What is one of the big differences between us and the competition right now? We've been in the OLED business for how long? 10 years. So all of that understanding, that engineering, that maturity, we had to figure out how to circumvent or mitigate image retention early on. Otherwise, OLED would not be here today. So we just aren't seeing those sort of issues. Now, am I saying that ours won't? Under the worst case, anything can actually have extreme image retention. But in early testing, after 2,000 hours, which is representative of about a year, LGs weren't having issues. And even from personal experience, I Xboxed on a C10 for a year, and all I played was Halo 5, same thing. And before I sent the TV back, I did the color checker where you do the red, green, blue, cyan, yellow, magenta, not an indication. And now I'm doing it on a C2 with an Xbox Series X, and I'm not seeing the issues with image retention either. So just know that not only are we, saying we were going to back you up, the likelihood is you're probably not going to see any issues with it. Now, would I recommend somebody using an OLED to watch CNN 24/7, 365 for 10 years? I'd probably try and push them into an LED just for safety's sake. But if it's something that we're changing content, gaming, movies, letterbox, it doesn't matter. It's going to be perfectly fine. Question?
Really quick. So we still have, I know, public display mode, projectors, a few things to go through. So our food truck is here. If you park closest to the road, I need like 5 or 6 vehicles to move, possibly.
Yeah, can we take like a 5-minute break?
Just to move your truck because we got to fit the food truck in. Can we take a 5-minute break?
Sure.
So if you park towards the road, we need to move, unfortunately. Towards the entrance? You're one.
Hey, Rochelle, in case we have to move. Yeah, keep it. I don't want to be the one that's. Sorry. That's all right. Sure.
Video wise.
Okay. Right.
The frame stuff and all of the other things you talked about in that, could that be applied to video?
If you did it on the, a couple of things. If you put it in public display mode, basically will render I'm always ready, null and void. So if I get a type application, it's not going to run. Unless it's set up to consumer piece, yeah, but it's going to be turned off. You would run it. You wouldn't be able to run it. So if you were going to do a video wall sort of harmful thing, you definitely want to run it on the other device and stuff like that. Would be my recommendation. Okay. Good question. Cool. Yeah. Good one. And then end up height, either C or G, because that material allows you to get like zero bezel for the scenario. I think we're like 4 millimeter. So you don't have much of a crosshair in the image. Oh yeah. So, but yeah, all of the G series use either the mount that it comes with, or they do have a 300 by 200, a 400, well, 600 by 400 on the 97. So you can find a Visa mount that'll still do it. Oh yeah, still auto, still. I'm sorry, 2020, sorry. I think it was C10 was the first year. Anything that, I would say from any or Alpha 7 to Alpha 9, anything that's 120 hertz, it's heavy. Auto cal. What's it? 1,024 grayscale points.
Right.
35,937 color
I've got
points.
the software, my meter's messed up at the moment, or if I didn't miss it, my meter's fine.
Okay, you're gonna love this. If you go to portrait display, and if you're using, of course, CalMet, you can get a USB series of patterns that, when you connect them to the TV, are OLEDs. You can use correct. You can use the USB test patterns, and it will pull them up in the media player with direct control. So when you need a window 18 stimulus, it goes through and loads those patterns. So if you want to basically, you can just move the LG calibration software, which is $25, and you can get an i1 meter, 49. Altogether, probably the C6, Klein, a Minolta, nothing advantage there. Spider. Okay, yeah, they have a driver for the X1, so a new one if it's jacked up. better anti-reflective. It's got the better mount. We got the 5-year panel warranty. Plus, it does have ATSC 3.0 tuner. So if you want to get broadcast, we have Wi-Fi 6. So if you've got a house that is wired for Wi-Fi, you have Wi-Fi 6. It's going to be a stable, faster, more consistent sort of connection. And if you need to put one on a stand, we have them available. 55, 65, 77, 83. Let us know ahead of time. They're not something that we stock a lot of because typically we want this on the wall, but definitely there. Now, I said that, the G3 is really that product that makes the most sense for you and your customers. And I think from a performance standpoint, that's pretty clear. However, don't forget design is something. It is a more premium design. It fits flat against the wall. It's also an install required product where, you can get a stand for it, but it was really designed from the onset. So you know that you're adding that to the sale of the TV and install. Now, we don't have any extra connect boxes. Thank you. Thank you, LG engineers. But here's another nice thing to think about. This is a product that's not sold through a club. Because it's install oriented, you're not going to get hit. You're playing a sim 3-6 months out and all of a sudden go, hey, I was in a Sam's or I was in a Costco and I see they have an LG, OLED and it was cheaper than what you're offering it to me for. You're not going to have that because they don't do the install. So that you don't have to worry about. Plus, this is not a velocity product. It's not designed to just fly out the door like the C3. The C3 is that balance of feature and performance and everything, and that's why it's our most popular. So we might see promo time on the C3, so you'll see the price dip over at times a little bit less predictable. G3 is going to be smoother sailing. We'll do a price drop, but it's because it's just that time of the year. So it's going to be a slower roll in terms of pricing drop. So that's beneficial to you. So it's a lot more stable. And it also makes it easier to plan out. I can bid you something 6 months down the road and know that I'm not going to have to see a major shift. Of course, pricing on the purchasing side will go down as well. And we have everything from not just 55, 65, and 77, but you do have that 83 and the 97, and customers are definitely trending to larger screen sizes. So you have a lot of options. Don't have many 83 or 97-inch OLEDs out there in the market. So if we go through real quick, B3 is our base level. C3, it's the better panel, the better processing, Dynamic Tone Mapping Pro, 4 HDMI high-speed ports, and has the always ready functionality. But really what we want you to focus on is that G. That G is going to be definitely beneficial. Plus, spiff-wise, it is better on the G than it is the C. And I forgot how big of it, I think it's like $35 more at every screen size that they're run together. So another reason to sell into here. And then last but not least, our 8K models. The Z2 will carry over 88 and 77 inch. I don't know. We've had this discussion, Rochelle and I, at CEDIA, 97-inch 4K or 88-inch 8K. People love the extra size. So it tends to be the more popular. Kirby and I were talking about this just as during we had a quick break. If you look at our competition, they talk about we do lens to living room. We have studios in Hollywood. Here's what's interesting. Of all the consumer TVs out there and available in the marketplace, Hollywood in post-production use LG consumer OLEDs as client review monitors more than all other consumer TVs combined. And we're not going to go through it, but if anybody here do calibration or calibration is important, a couple. Now you can actually calibrate with LG. All you need is a computer. You need the CalMan home software for $145. You need a i1 colorimeter meter at $249. So for less than $400, you can calibrate an LG because the pattern generator that you typically have to buy, which is about $1,500, you go to Portrait and you can download, we have our media player, we showed pictures on it. You can download the test patterns onto a USB drive, and on the LG TVs only, we're the only ones that do this, you could drive the test patterns through the media player on the TV using a USB and be able to do calibration, and out of pocket is only $400. We can talk about that at lunch if anybody wants more details on it. But you could add $100 to $200. What do y'all charge for a calibration nowadays for an SDR, HDR? Yeah, $300 to $500. But even if you did $200, you'd basically do 2 calibrations, make your money back, and then have the potential to make profit on every TV that you sell. It's an easy way to add 2. So talk to me afterwards. And one thing I did want to mention, we do have a new soundbar called the C soundbar, and check this out. It's designed that it will actually mount to the back of the C TV. So if you do the TV install, it will then hold the soundbar below it. Plus, if you want to use it as the TV stand, there's an extra plate that comes in the box with the soundbar as well, that you could then use it as a soundbar stand, and everything is matched up so the IR sensor is high enough so you don't actually have it being blocked by the soundbar. So this is a really cool option if you're looking for a quick slam dunk sell-on. Yeah, it comes in the box with the soundbar C. And it's a 3.1.3 soundbar, so you have 2 center channel speakers, so dialogue is really clean. One fires up, so it lifts the sound, but 2 center channel speakers, dialogue, customers, that's the biggest complaint. Sounds good. And then, of course, a wireless sub. So talk to us about, what's that?
That little bracket you showed between the TV and soundbar, that piece is white.
So it matches the wall? We sell clear. All right, that's actually good information. I like that. Because you said that, you've already had a hat.
That and the frame on the picture.
You're going to be loaded up before we get you out of here. All good stuff. So yeah, so you can see where it matches up here. It's actually pretty cool. They actually showed it as white to start with, which is kind of funny. Maybe there's a special edition. Now, not only do we have OLEDs that we hang on the walls, check this thing out. Yes, that thing is actually curving on its own. Yep, watch the button again. This is a 42-inch OLED that is like our 42-inch TV, but it also is a PC monitor at the same time. And at the touch of a button, you can take it from perfectly flat, has 2 arms that press on the side of the monitor, and will curve it down to a 900R. It's about twice the curvature you'll find on a lot of competitive monitors. So we have this available. So if somebody has kids, they have a gaming room or whatever, this is a good option. Here we go, all the specs. We're not going to go through all the gory details, but same performance. If you need a lifestyle product, something that just stands in the corner or break between a kitchen and a dining room or something, 55 and a 48. This is our Pose, pretty much like our C2 from last year with all the features just like our regular TVs. And if we look at the LG lineup, we've got alpha processor, brightness booster, confidence of 5-year warranty, our design, and of course, WebOS, our smart platform, which most of you typically skip. I know that. Let's ask some questions. See if y'all remember. Raise your hand, I'll call on you. What feature helps HDR look like proper HDR instead of dark HDR over here?
That dynamic tone mapping. You want a hat? You have a hat already. You want a hat? We get a hat. All right, next question. Reach out there. How many blocks do we utilize when we tone map?
20,000.
How many?
20,000.
20,000. I give you so much stuff. Yeah, I'm going to this over here. You're bankrupting me over here. How much brighter can that 55 or 77 inch get?
70%.
It was quick. It was like, raise your hands, I'll call you 70%.
That's why we're independent business owners. We set our own rules, right? Got new stuff. You already had that. All right. What is the details of the LG G3 panel warranty? 5 years. 5 years what?
5 years on the panel. Hard. 5 years. 2 years.
Okay. Well, yeah. 1 year on the label. I got you a hat already. You need a couple of these. All right. Let's see. Just
About other sound recognition.
okay. All right. And where do you get the mount for the G3?
It's in the box. It's in the box.
He raised his hand. And I called on him. Do you have a hat already? All right. Here we go. Why? Why is selling the G3 better than selling our C3 or B3? What are the reasons?
Make more money.
Make more money. Better picture.
The installs.
Installs guaranteed. Can't get it Costco. All right. I'm not going to throw all that stuff out. Anybody that I've answered there that I haven't thrown something at yet? Somebody in the back? Everybody's going to get something before we get out of here. Okay. All right, quick. Anybody using any IP control system other than the ones we have listed? Somebody hit me with Atlona yesterday. I didn't know that they had a control protocol. But if it's something new and it's something important to you, we have updated very quickly. This happened with over 2 years, we went from Control 4 to all of these. We do have our public display mode. We do have built-in diagnostics for HDMI, Wi-Fi, and other stuff. WISA, we're down to 2.1 if you still use it. And then portrait display, we do still support calibration, AutoCal. Like I said, for $400, you can be knocking out calibrations and making 100 to 200. Thank you so much. It's got a job to do. We all understand that. But let's talk public display mode. Anybody not familiar with our public display mode? Okay, so still kind of, who is familiar with our public display mode and accessibility? Okay, so some yes, some no. That's okay, that's what we're here for. To get into our public display mode, our hospitality mode, you still have to press and hold the settings button and keep holding it until the channel banner comes up. And there's one other thing that I forget to do, time to. It'll be all LG 4K or higher TVs, yes. Let's come out of this. Right TV. Worst case scenario, if I go to live TV, it will knock me in. So press the button, unless I've got something else set in here that I'm not remembering. There it is. Now I just go 1105 and then press the OK button. I made a mistake, sorry. I hit the cursor instead of the side. So again, we should all know it by now. Press and hold, channel banner comes up, 1105. Okay, this is what I get for not testing it yesterday. We'll do it one more time and then I'm switching to another TV. If not, I'll just show you what it looks like on. Okay, I've messed something. I'm missing something here, so shame on me. All right, so once you get into it, right on this one real quick. If it doesn't work, I've messed something up. Something is set up I missed doing. Yeah, it's treating me the same way. We didn't connect these directly to the internet, so, but you shouldn't have to do that. I'm a little perplexed. Anyway, once you get into it, this is what we see. You have to activate it, and then you have power on status, volume management, you have key management, limited mode. If you're trying to make it into a dumb display, this is where you can go and throw the switches to make it a dumb display. Power on default, your aux settings, and your power management. So power on status, when you apply master power, it loses power and it comes back on. 3 options. Power, in other words, it just comes on. Standby, it's waiting to be told to come back on. Or whatever it was doing previously, if it was on, it'll come back on. Or if it was off, it stays off. That is whatever the last power setting was. Volume, you can have a start volume, a minimum volume, a maximum volume. A friend of ours, one of our coworkers, his son is autistic, and he usually likes to crank the TV to 100, so he used public display mode to drop it to max was 30. So there are some practical uses, but if you want a customer, they want no volume, you can set minimum and maximum to 0 and lock it down that way. Key management, do you want the IR buttons on your remote? Is it normal, power only, or no IR signals? You can still get into the settings menu. And then local key operation, any buttons on the set, you can make it normal, power only, or nothing. So we can block them all. And then going to limited mode, you activate this and things like the setup menu, channel changing, menu display, any on-screen displays. Some people complain that, if there's a firmware update, you'll get a notification, or if there are new apps that are launching. If you turn the OSD display off, those things won't pop up. So you can make this as dumb a TV as you want by doing that. Nobody does anything with DTV channels, I don't think, but we still allow you to set those up. Power on default, once you activate this, whatever your input you select here, it will go to it first. So if you only wanted to go to HDMI 1, you can even set this up in a customer's home and force it HDMI 1 regardless when it comes on. If you had, let's say you were doing something at a museum and they're running old 4:3 video, you can force the aspect ratio to be 4:3 so it doesn't actually expand it out. So you have some interesting options here. And then if I said HDMI 1 is my primary input, I can also activate or deactivate any of the other HDMI inputs. So if I don't want 2, 3, or 4 to be accessible, I just turn them off. If I want to make them accessible, I leave them highlighted. And then last but not least, I usually turn this off, but power management, once the TV's on, it will do a counter that up to 7 hours, and then it will automatically turn itself off. If we're using it in a retail sort of establishment, probably want to turn that off because you're going to be using a master switch to turn everything on and off anyway. But those are all of the options. You can go in and change the password. So you can set for your company a password every time you do an install. So these other guys in here are coming in and and then USB cloning. Anybody ever done a sports bar and then you have to set the public display mode and you have to make sure that you get all the settings right, but invariably one of the 50 TVs that you're hooking up, you set the wrong setting and it completely throws everything off. So you make sure you set one TV right, then you can export those settings to a USB, and then when you go in, you just import the settings, and you're getting identical settings on every TV. That should expedite the process and make sure that you're not making any mistakes. Is that awesome? That's from our UQ, so anything that we have that's 4K or higher resolution, OLED, going back several years. So probably everything in Sean's inventory that's LG 4K has this. And then set ID, we did that here. So all the TVs are set to 1 out of the box, but if you set it to 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever, then that remote will only communicate with that TV, which is nice. So if you have 2 TVs in somebody's living room and they hit the button and they're both trying to bring up the displays and everything, and you can also set ID on the TV in the regular menu. You don't have to go to PDM to set ID. It's one of the, I think, general settings. And then I can get into IP control settings here on the TV, but we did make a change this year. Still trying to figure out why I can't get in on this one, but if we go in on the TV, the port, and look, IP control settings are right on the main menu this year. We figured, why not? There's no reason to hide them. When you do go in, you'll have to activate SDDP, activate it for IP control, and when you turn it on, then it'll generate the key code that you can punch into the system. So you need SDDP, of course, for Control 4, and then just don't leave it on, and then make sure Wake on LAN. So once these things are activated in the main menu, you're pretty typical, all set to go. Any questions? And last but not least, if you're ever on a job and let's say you've got Wi-Fi or HDMI and you can't tell the signal's going 100 feet, am I getting something on the end? I give this. Ha. We go into the menu, go to settings, go into general, and then channels, and then channel tuning. Just hover over it and just press 111111111. Host diagnostics. So it'll actually show you your Wi-Fi status. If you have any hard drives for multimedia connected up, let you know the condition of that. And then here we can see Wi-Fi diagnostics here, what my connection speed is, all that kind of fun stuff. So, and then I also have HDMI info available as well. Just channel tuning, and again, I can get back into it. Where is battery, CD, Wi-Fi? Yeah, Wi-Fi status, next gen TV. There's my tuner. So all of that. So you could check your HDMI settings. And just for fun, what's that? All 4K TVs will have that. Anything you'd want to install has it. If you're ever curious as to some of the information while you're gaming, just take the green button. Whoops. Maybe they changed all this. Oh, I'm on LG channels. I got to be on HDMI. But if you hit the green button over and over and over, it'll pull up your frame rate for gaming, and it'll actually vary, which is kind of cool. You can follow the VRR capabilities on the TV. Whew! Wow.
Can you do dual audio out?
Yes, I can support.
DVR and Bluetooth.
ARC, eARC, I can't mix eARC and anything else, unfortunately, but I can do optical and Bluetooth simultaneously, or TV speakers. Let me remember, I'll pull up the options because we can see it from the top level. Sound mode, advanced settings. I like this new menu, you can get into it so much faster. But go sound and then sound out. I can use TV speakers, under wired, optical, and HDMI. Use wireless. I've got Bluetooth, WiSA, and then you can actually sound out to an app, the LG ThinQ app, on your phone. So if you're sitting in bed, you could switch over to that if you don't have Bluetooth and actually listen to it through your mobile device if you needed to. And then we can also do Bluetooth device with TV speakers or optical output with TV speakers simultaneously. Those are the only two simultaneous options that we can do. But new for this year, if you go into Bluetooth, sorry, external speakers, if I go into the settings here, I can connect up to 2 Bluetooth speakers or headsets. So if you have older customers that are wanting to use Bluetooth hearing aids or stuff like that, they have to be compatible. We can't guarantee 100% compatibility, but most of the general Bluetooth compatible hearing aids will work. Once I tell it dual speakers, you go in and then you would pair them up. And I can use them as front speakers, or if I have Bluetooth, I can actually set them up as surround speakers as well. So you have some cool options available in the menu while we were on it. Yes, yes, up to 2 Bluetooth connected devices, either speakers, hearing aids, or whatever, plus the volume on the TV simultaneously. So they can crank it up and the TV can still be cranked down. So nice. All right, just to remind you again, Reach LG, our custom installation portal. If you haven't signed up for LG Spiffs, https://us.lgSalesPortal.com. If you have any issues with Spiff claims, you can email them, spiff.claim@LGE, and they can get you lined up.
Super responsive. I had a dealer that just had this done for the first time, and on one job he made like $1,200 on top of all of his margin.
Oh, that's just terrible.
I know.
Everybody hates free money. Is it 3 months? What is?
I think it's 3 months.
Yeah, I think 3 months from sales that you want to get them in. So
remember, this is the very, very important fact about Spiffs. It's based on when you sell to your customer. So if you have to buy from us, job gets delayed because of drywall guys or the million things that happen on a job site, but you already took inventory to take advantage of a price, or if you already got deposit for whatever reason, it's based on when you invoice your customer, not when you bought it from us.
nice. 30 days from then. Don't be late. And also, trusted individuals. There is an email support line, but this is for you if you have an issue on product. It's more product feature operation sort of related. It's not for your customers, it's for you specifically. So we have a 1-800 number you can call them at, or the support, LG dealer support at, .zendesk.com. But the one that's probably more critical is this individual down here, Joe Colombo, who is our technical manager. If you're having an issue with a Denon receiver being controlled with the LG TV through a Control4 system, he's your guy. So he is our technical manager for all things CI related. He has very close relationships with other companies that we are involved with and interface with. So he's a really good resource. And we also have, for this area, our CI sales support, which is Don Horan, who's your representative. Don's not here, but donald.horan@lge.com, 240-217-1220. And your account manager for Next Level is sitting here in the back. That is Mr. Mike Bushy. It's the Bush. He is the best. We're glad he's here.
If you guys went to the tech summits, you saw me in Atlanta or Charlotte, you met Don. He was the guy at the table with us. He's awesome. And that 833 number, save it in your phones. That number is a lifesaver when you're on a job site.
All right. Let me get everything back to where we were. 2. I got another remote over here. Got to get it to 2. Not it. Okay, we're leaving that page. Exit. All right, should be there. And then we're all set. Okay, perfect. What I want to do is we know that sometimes customer, it's all about budget. They may not have the budget they need for the big TV if it's an OLED, because OLEDs are still our most premium product. But we do have another really good technology that if I try to do two things at once, then I'm not very successful at that. Our QNED TV is our mini LED backed product. Just sit down, Greg. Is it working? Yeah, okay. So what's nice about this is that it's a real good budget fallback, that the customer maybe has an 83 in the living room, but they want to do something in the kids' room, but they want something big, but they don't want to spend a 77 or 83 budget. Do you have something else that's going to be a good choice? This is a mini LED QNED, which is our enhanced color capable sets. And so color, you'll notice, is very similar to the OLEDs. And if I go into the menu here, I can show you where in terms of color, if we go down to the color, because these sets are able to reproduce DCI-P3 almost exactly what the OLEDs do, we get much richer color. So if I go from Rec 709, the HD standard, and have it remapped, do you see the difference in the water? So it's able to then extrapolate color to more closely match DCI, even with non-DCI material, which would be 4K and HDR. So if we run through some of this, again, you'll notice as I go, the water gets more punchy. And there's some really cool things. So what we're basically saying is we can give you very similar color performance on our QNED and be able to cover the better color necessary for 4K HDR, but in a more budget, well, I won't say budget, but at lower price points. It gives you a little bit of flexibility. Now, the other key difference between OLED and our QNEDs is, of course, OLED technology. But those red roofs look really nice on that TV. Let's go back a notch. Contrast black. I don't know if y'all have seen this from us before, but look at the contrast on that QNED. It holds up extremely well. 65, 65, 60, and I think we've got it on a different picture mode now on this one. But see something crazy? So we've done this demo for years, but it's always a good one to revisit. If you take a camera on your smartphone, turn it on, when I hold it up here with the OLED, I can see all the color of the fish. And literally, as I get away from that, it is dead black. There is no light activity in those pixels that it's seeing. And I've got it pressed up right against it. There's the pixels, and sometimes I can even see the edge. Yeah, you can see some of the pixels are lit. Now it's dark there, and I move that much further, and boom, it's completely dark. The difference with any LED product, whether it's mini LED, mini LED, definitely have the richness of the color of the fish. But notice that if I come off the fish, I can still see the lights, because with anything but OLED, the big difference is there are lights that are on to eliminate this. But as I move further away from the fish, you'll notice that the lights basically dissipate. But that is the difference. And I will show you something interesting. If you're looking at it straight on, it looks its best. But if you take and move it off axis, like most LEDs, you will definitely see the difference in contrast performance. Whereas with OLED, if we turn this, I don't think I can turn it like that directly. No, let's not drop it. But if I turn it off axis, you don't see any change in contrast. So this is our best, but fallback, not a bad second in terms of what you get. It's our premium, better color, better contrast, high brightness. And here's the major difference between the two. Let's jump through this as we do all that. Here's the difference. Whereas the 77C3 starts at about $3,500, I get you into a 75 for $2,000 over here. And I'm not losing that much in terms of performance. If I wanted an 83-inch class, I'm looking $5,299 On the QNED 85, I'm looking at 3 bills. Huh. So what we're saying is that sell LG OLED, but if that doesn't work, I can still get them into QNED at a balanced price point. So, and get them more screen real estate for less money. So my recommendation is the QNED 85, which is mini LED, and the QNED 80, which is a very thin local dimming LED, doesn't have the mini moniker on it. Both are 120 hertz, both are great for gaming, and we got great color, great contrast, and good budget opportunities in terms of maximizing size for dollars. And we do have 8Ks. How many, just a quick question, just for my own edification. What is happening with 8K with your customers? Are they interested, or is 4K proving to be good enough in most cases? Yeah, they're not really seeing the difference between 4K and 8K. Their product is out there, but I'd much rather have a 97, like I said, the 4K, I think, than the 88 8K. So we talked about the Alpha 9 processor, talked about the G3, talked about QNED. I think we're pretty good. Any questions? How much time more we got?
We're supposed to finish at 11:30. So,
Okay, so the only thing,
please show the 9.
I'll say turn to the back of the room, and I'll just run through it, and then we will get out of here. And who all staying for lunch with us? Okay, so who also likes free stuff? So if you come back into the room, what we'll do is while we're having lunch, we will run a game show. 10 questions you answer on your phone. Whoever is fastest will get first choice of all the cool prizes we've been hiding under the table. So come back, get some food. We'll have some more fun. Everybody will get good stuff. Let's make a deal. But the QN, this is our new 915. This is a triple laser, so 3 laser. It uses TI's 0.66 DMD imager. There's 2 sizes typically in the DLPs. It's a 0.47. The 0.66 is bigger, more surface area, more pixels. It's 4.15 megapixel, not 1080p or 2 million pixels to start with. It only shifts once to create 4K on the screen. But color-wise, I was reading an article in the JVC RS2100. We were talking about DCI color. We can do 100% across the front, 99 plus. This actually does 100% of DCI. That $11,000 JVC only does 86%. I was shocked. So we actually have better color capability on this. 2,000, up to 3,000 nits or lumens of ANSI brightness on it, which is quite brighter than a lot of the products that are out there. This is $6,500, if I remember, Sean, and it's actually profitable as an ultra short throw, which the beauty of ultra short throw is I'm not creating a shadow. So we know that JVC and Sony are very hot, but if you're looking for the best ultra short throw, it falls into this category. This is the one that went at the shootout this year, or this past year, was by a long shot, the best performing ultra short throw. So it's another arrow in your quiver to be able to sell with customers. And the other nice thing is that it's got audio built in. It does have eARC. It supports HDMI 2.1, and it has the same smart platform that if you get me connected to Wi-Fi, I can give you entertainment on it. You don't have to go to an outside box. Everything is integrated. Even the remotes, I wish we were like this on all of them, are all backlit. So all of our projector 4K remotes are backlit. And some of the cool things about some of the things like JVC does their tone mapping frame by frame. This has it frame by frame. They have their dynamic laser output where dark scenes are darker, bright scenes are brighter. We have that function on this projector as well. So we've taken a lot of the things that we're really successful with in projection. And of course, just looking at the image, we're not even in a dark room. We've still got a lot of lights. And that is holding its own against pretty much those TVs in the front of the room. But if I go to advanced settings, you can see some of the things we do. Brightness optimizer, I can set it, it has a lens, an iris. So I can open the iris bigger to let more light through. But if I'm in a dark environment and black levels are more critical, I can shrink the iris down by moving this from bright room to dark room to get better black levels out of it. the back button is the wrong spot on this projector, sorry. And then last but not least, we have an adaptive brightness. So bright scenes, the optimizer, adaptive contrast and bright scenes, you leave it on high, it will stay high, but when the scene gets dark, it will actually reduce the output of the laser illumination engine to make dark scenes deeper black with this, basically the same level of contrast. So of course this is a bright scene we can't really show here. But yeah, we do all these things. What's your take on it just looking at it? Pretty good? Pretty. We can do 120. That's with it. Well, 90 to 120 is our spec. So this is, Sean says 100 on this one. And to go 90, I only need 2.2 inches from the face of the screen to the back of the projector. And to throw a 120, I only need 7.2 inches. So it's like one of the shortest ultra short throws that is out there. It's like the ultimate ultra short throw.
And Bushy, this SKU specifically is protected throughout the year. It only has like 3 or 4 price changes maybe the whole year, something like that.
There are promos occasionally on it, but we try to keep it
On this one, yeah.
Also,
that would be protected to EU810, 4,000.
$64.99. And then 2 other things. It is a black case. The black case indicates that it is CI oriented. It comes with IP control capability, which our white case projectors do not. And it's also auto calibration. And I actually recommend calibration on all of our projectors. They come out pretty blue, unfortunately. I would like them to be better out of the box. So the 915 is the ultra short throw. There is a QE. They trade, you get bright, it's brighter. It's 3700, but it doesn't have quite the color. So it's kind of a trade-off. And it does not have auto calibration or IP control. But if in a pinch, you could do a QE, QB for the black case and CI. And then above our head, what we should have been watching all day, this is a dual laser unit, 2700 ANSI lumens, full smart, Bluetooth, ARC, in fact, eARC on this one. This is one of the first ones that had eARC. Auto calibration, IP control, has 12-volt triggers built into it. Again, CI oriented only, and has actually gotten really good reviews. Availability's been pretty strong on projectors from us. So if you're in a pinch, been doing Epson, can't get what you need, give us a shot. We think that you'll be pretty impressed with all the connectivity options and whatnot. And last but not least, we've got a monster 5000 ANSI lumen laser, but it's small, compact, and lightweight. It's like 21.4 pounds. So it's not crazy. Doesn't have the smart platform other than to be able to access setup, usability, connectability to outside sources. But we still have Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, ARC, a lot of things you don't get with a lot of typical projectors. Golf simulators, this has become a very popular piece for golf simulators. If you haven't gotten into that business, maybe you've got a new business avenue you can follow along. We've got all this stuff and we can get this out to everybody. We're not gonna cover this, we'll save this. We are doing a G3 webinar, which you've seen pretty much everything we'll cover on that. And then the follow-up, we're gonna actually do out-of-the-box recommendation settings. We're gonna do another webinar, probably a month or so, that sort of outlines that at LG. We're at an endpoint. Everybody hungry? All right.
Real quick before we eat, everybody, thank you, Greg and Michelle. That was amazing. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah, clap. Sorry. We took a lot of feedback in the last few years of this training, and I feel like you guys did a fantastic job. I was really focusing more on CI, not just going through every single model. We didn't even cover the 9000 series, the 7000 series. We're not selling those anyways, right? So 2 things real quick. One, Kurt did pass out the demo program. If you have questions about that, please see Kurt and myself afterwards, and we'll kind of explain how that works and who would be eligible. 2, we are about to eat, so make sure everybody gets a ticket. Anybody not sign in? Make sure. Okay. All right, so we'll pass that around a little bit. And then 3, so Todd has actually given us a discount, anybody that came to the training, to pass on to you guys. So any row 1 chair orders placed in the next week, $100 off per chair. It's pretty significant. So unlimited however many chairs you do. So if you got a couple of customers you're probably hopefully thinking about right now, you can sell this soon. Now that you understand the process and the last mile delivery, go ahead and start closing those sales next couple of days. Let Kurt, John, or myself know, and we'll get you guys registered.
Thank you. awesome things that we do to match up with the performance of PS5, Xbox Series X, and even gaming PCs. We are sort of the best gaming TV out there.
Yes, and even with the G3, which starts at 55 inches, but that has been reviewed and said it is the gaming TV if you're looking for a gaming television. And of course, it's great for movies, for sports, so it's really well-rounded in what it's going to be able to offer you, the capabilities based on what your customer loves, whatever their entertainment preferences are, and you're going to see how it also benefits you as a dealer, bringing and suggesting this particular series to your customers. And one of the features that we have now, when it comes to picture quality, I know that I see it differently than Greg does, and it's subjective. And I know at home too, I'll want to watch something one way, and then my fiance is like, can we change that up a bit? And one of the things that's really nice with Personal Picture Wizard is that it allows a customer to be able to do that according to their preferences. So it's just an easy way you walk them through, and we're going to actually show you how that works on here. So if they just wanted to change it around, but they don't want to have to deal with the complications of figuring out where they need to set brightness, contrast, color, this is just an easy way for them to be able to do that. So if you just press the settings button and you go right here to picture mode, you'll just scroll through till you come to personalized. I just passed it, personalized picture wizard. You click here and it's going to bring it up, and it walks the user through 6 categories, and all they have to do is press start. And from each category, they can pick up to 2 pictures. They can pick one if they want, but they pick 2, and you pick it based on what you like. So which 2 do you like?
Let's see. How about bottom left, bottom right?
Bottom left, bottom right. Okay. Next. We're doing this 5 times more.
Top right.
And bottom, or
Yeah.
that one? Okay. How about now? And you can
Bottom
middle bottom. Okay.
and top right.
And you can pick 2 or just 1. It's your preference.
Top right, bottom left.
See, that warm color temperature.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, that they haven't told us.
Okay.
There's some weird algorithm.
How about bottom right
All right.
and bottom left?
Bottom left. No,
Yeah. No,
you can change it.
no,
Okay.
that's cool.
And now, and then this last one.
Okay. I don't know what color this blouse is. All right. How about bottom left, bottom right?
You see a pattern with how you're picking. And now once you go through all 6 categories and you pick the pictures that you prefer best, it's going to analyze it. And Greg, it does it according to how many? 85?
So there are 85 billion use cases based on the input that it can qualify and tweak for, based on just general, I like the way this looks. This is what draws my attention. And essentially, I said you went for that warm color temperature. You like a warm and balanced picture.
Right.
It's actually pretty good. And so we apply that.
And then this is the before and what it would look like after.
Right.
And now looking at the set to the left, which is one OLED, and we had them pretty much the same. Notice how it was a little bit more pop to it. I get a little bit more intensity to it, but the color balance is pretty clean, pretty natural, nothing blown out. This sort of answers a question. You get a call, hey, we got this TV at home, but it just doesn't look like it did when I saw it in a store or when I saw it, because a lot of times they're in vivid mode. So this is a quick way to say, well, go to this personalized picture wizard, just choose 1 or 2 of the pictures that really draw your attention on each screen, and it's going to create a picture I think you're really going to like. And boom. Yeah.
You're going to see things differently than your customer. They're going to call and complain. That doesn't make sense. Everybody likes things differently.
They can change this anytime they want to. And when you go into the picture menu, they're going to see personalized picture mode. And as long as they've selected one or created one, they'll be able to choose that as a picture mode as well. So that's there for them. And if not, they can always go back to cinema, ISF, filmmaker mode. Those are going to have a better calibrated mode, more accurate mode for you.
That's only with the 2023.
Correct.
Correct.
yeah, that didn't make a update.
No.
We want to sell more. We got to sell you a new TV this year.
That's the B3C3. This is on,
Actually, from
yeah.
QNED 80, B3C3, G3.
Yeah, the QNED 80.
Yeah, the
So,
85 is a
2023.
2022, so it's a carryover. So any 2023 from QNED 80 up.
I'm going to be able to do that. And what was your question that you had asked again? Oh, was it only on the C3?
Yeah, no, I was saying only on 2023.
Yes. So in case you didn't hear what he asked, was this feature only on the 2023 TVs? And as of this point, yes. All right. Now, I've already touched on the topic of gaming, and LG OLED TVs, even our B3s, and most definitely our C3s are equipped for gaming, and even our QNED 85s as well. And when we're talking about gaming, there's specific features that are really important to gamers, like 4K at 120 hertz, variable refresh rate. Maybe they have a PC or an Xbox, and so they need AMD FreeSync, or they have a PC with G-Sync. And so all of these different things become factors when you're trying to pick out a TV that's going to match the gaming needs that they have. And with the PS5, you can see here that it has certain gaming features, but there's some that it doesn't have, like FreeSync, NVIDIA G-Sync, Dolby Vision at 4K 120 hertz. Because some TVs can do 4K at 120 hertz, but it can't do 4K 120 hertz with Dolby Vision. With LG OLEDs, as you can see there, it meets all of those gaming needs. Our QNED 85 meets most of them except for G-Sync, and the QNED 80 meets quite a lot of them as well. So depending on where your customer lands, they're going to be able to use their TVs for gaming.
It's a great question. I wouldn't really worry about it. We can address it now. We can address it a little bit later. But there is a long-term usage, and I'll come stand up. There's a long-term usage test that Ratings, the website, is running on OLEDs. And so right now they have gone through over 2,000 hours of torture testing on the TVs that are out there. But guess what they're using as the source? CNN. No joke. So they're using CNN. So it's got that CNN logo, red with the white background. It has got the ticker bar has got information in white with black lettering typically. In 2,000 hours, going back to the C10, because they've had C OLEDs that long and RGs, they're not seeing image retention yet on any of the LG OLEDs. Okay, after 2,000 hours, that's a full year of testing, just CNN. They're going through power cycles, so they have time to do the compensation. Yep, they're turning them off, so they have time to go through the cycles and then turn them back on. So that's great for us. What's interesting is our competitor that uses our panel, they're starting to see a little bit of image retention on that competitive television, using the same panel that we do, but what do we have that they don't? Processor and 10 years of experience. Remember, we've been doing OLED for a decade. So we have worked very hard to figure out how to mitigate the possibility of burn-in. Now, there's a new technology OLED that another competitor has come out with. Guess what? It's really starting to show image retention and maybe already considered permanent. Go to Ratings, go to their site and look at the long-term TV testing. They've got 100 TVs that they are running hard 24, well, they're cycling them on and off. They're running them so long and then turning them off. RTINGS, like Ratings, but take away the A, ratings.com. And it's their 3-month update on their long-term testing. But the cool thing about that is that LG OLEDs, if you sold those, they're the least likely to have issues with image retention because of all the things that we're doing. Our other competitor using our panel is second best, starting to see a little bit of issue. And then that other OLED technology, starts with a Q, I believe, is the one that's most susceptible. And another thing, we're learning that technology, after about the first year, is losing as much as about 20% of its initial brightness, whereas in the same time period, LG OLEDs lose maybe 4 or 5%. So that quick brightness loss is another determining factor to the cause of image retention. And I'll say for personal experience, I've gamed on a C10, and right now I've got a C2 that I've used as samples, and all I do is game Xbox. It was the one, now it's the Xbox Series X. I only play Halo. Now it's Infinite. It used to be Halo 5, but that's all I play. Same menu, same HUD and everything. And I'm about to turn this one in. And again, no image retention on that set. And I drive it hard. Yeah,
I
John.
have a 77C8, and it's my main TV. I have 3 girls in my house all the time. I game as well.
Yeah. So the experience is, so the biggest issue that we're seeing, if I see image retention on TVs, typically in 2 scenarios. One, at a retail store, it's in Vivid, it's running the same 2-minute loop, and the high brightness areas after a year, you start to see that they get dimmer. The other one is that CNN, MSNBC, Fox News scenario where that logo stays there for an hour and hours. And so I always qualify a customer. Tell me what a typical day of watching this new TV you're looking at is going to be like. And if the customer says, we turn it on in the morning, we watch a little bit of news, turn it on in the afternoon, we watch talk show, and they're varying content. They watch movies and streaming shows. But we have customers that seem to, we just turn on MSNBC, Fox, whatever in the morning, and we just play it in the background till 5 o'clock. I'm probably going to show them a QNED model just for my own, sanity. But it's not, I would not worry about it in the 99% of the cases that are out there anymore. So, especially not for us. All right, back to Rochelle.
And one of the great gaming features that we have on here is when you're gaming, there's times where you may have to make changes on the fly to maybe it's your picture mode, your game mode, or even the sound, which is new for 2023. So if you go into the main menu to general, and typically if you have a gaming console connected to the TV, it would automatically bring up what we call the home dashboard, and you can make quick changes there. But since we don't have it connected to a gaming console, we'll show you the game optimizer in the main menu. And basically, this is where all these different gaming features that a gamer may want to change. Maybe it's the gaming genre or the different picture modes. They can go in here and make tweaks for the games that they're playing, and they can change this. And what's really nice is you see it's a transparent screen right there, so it's not going to block out what they're actually playing. So it's a really great way to make those changes. And LG, one of the things as an innovator in the industry, not just with picture quality, but even things that matter to the customers, movies, sports, gaming, they really innovate and think and forecast way ahead and start bringing things to market a lot sooner. And then they just keep refining it and improving it year over year. And this is one of the things that we have as well. And it's on all of our 4K TVs. So it's not just the G or the C series. Anyone who games will be able to access that on our TVs, which is really nice.
It comes from our gaming monitors, the Ultra Gears from LG Gaming for the monitors. So we've always had sort of quick access menus that you get to and so we've just migrated that over to the TVs.
And part of what's driving all of this, or the main thing that's driving all of this, is the Alpha 9 processor. It's the one that we came out with in 2018. We're in our 6th generation of that. And every year we keep making improvements to that because there's all different types of signals coming in. So whether it's 480, 720, 1080, or even 4K, HDR, Dolby Vision, this processor has the ability to really take all of that content and process it in a way that's going to not only look accurate, but it's going to look its optimal best for the content that you're watching. And this is on our C3 and our G3 OLED televisions. And this is where we really want to move customers to. And one of the things, and I just set up the C3 at home, it really draws you into the content that you're watching. So you feel like you're a part of it. And it's like being reborn when you're seeing some of these movies all over again. You catch a whole bunch of detail that you didn't see before you saw it on an LG OLED. And that's what's really incredible about the picture quality that we produce, part of which is OLED Evo. And we came out with that in 2021 on our G series. We added it to our C series last year, and we've continued to improve it. Now on the C series, we have what's called Brightness Booster, and it's going to bring the image up to 20% brighter. So it's going to give it that nice punch, and that's over our B series when we're talking about brightness. But now when it comes to our G series on the 83-inch and even our 97-inch G2, you're going to get up to 30% brighter. So you're going to see a bit of a difference there as well as far as brightness levels are concerned. And that's one of the things that when it came to OLED technology, it's really great, but it doesn't get bright enough. We want it brighter. And LG has found ways to be able to engineer this so that you are able to get a brighter image, but still maintain the picture quality, not losing lifespan on the brightness, not having issues with image retention, all of these things that, as Greg already pointed out, with 10 years of being at this, we've been able to really tweak and refine those things so that you get a brighter picture without having to worry about all of those things like image retention. Now, what's new for 2023 is that on our 55, 65, and 77-inch G3 OLED TVs, you're going to get up to 70% brighter compared to our B3.
What?
What do you think about that? Do you think you're going to see a difference?
Oh, yeah.
Yes? No, maybe so? It's going to be a significant difference. And this is one of the reasons why we want to move customers from the C up to the G series OLED television. With our new light control architecture, this is the hardware in the TV. This is part of what's going to enable it to get brighter. And when you pair that with our Brightness Booster Max, that's proprietary algorithms to LG. Again, we designed OLED with the Alpha processor, and now we're combining all of these features with the light control architecture and Brightness Booster and Brightness Booster Max to really give you a much brighter image. So if you're wondering, well, is the G3 going to be able to stand up to a bright room environment? Yes, it will. It's going to do a much better job this year compared to our other G3s or our other G series OLEDs. And we're going to see some other features that are going to help with this as well. So this is new for 2023. It's our OLED Evo. It's a technology that really gives you brighter, more punchy images. So you're going to just be able to capture not only HDR better, but any of that content that's coming in that requires the image to look brighter and to be able to handle a bright room. This is going to be able to do that for you. And one of the features that we have is...
Hey, Rochelle, why don't you show them the difference
okay.
of the brightness?
With the Revenant?
Yeah, just
oh,
remember.
Yeah.
I forgot. So we've got the C2 and the G3. We did the C2 because it's essentially the same.
And which one do you think is the C2 and the G3? This is the C?
Yeah. C2 on the left, G3 on the right.
This is the G3?
I believe so.
And this is the C2. Anybody else?
Going once?
Anybody disagree?
The HDR just got more pop.
Do you think this is the C?
Yeah.
Okay.
Show them what we did.
So they kind of look pretty close in brightness.
They both look really good.
But
what we did was to just be able to show you the difference.
They're basically set up the same on the same picture mode. It's a cinema home, so it's supposed to be a little bit brighter, but pretty accurate. Actually, come out of the picture wizard.
Ah, that's right. Put it back to cinema home.
Yeah, just go cinema home. There we go, user settings. So now they look pretty similar, a little bit more to the one on the right. But what we're going to show you is we throttled the brightness on the one on the right. So watch what happens when she switches over to high. Now those are the same settings side by side.
Did you see the difference?
If you didn't see the difference, we can get you an eye doctor's appointment just to make sure. So which way would you rather watch it, and which way do you think your customers would rather watch it? On the low setting or the high peak brightness setting? Yeah.
Think about those custom big windows, neutron shades, they keep them open during the day. I mean, it's a big deal.
Yeah.
Oh, and by the way, we're not even, I said this was cinema home, so it's more of a calibrated mode. Pop Vivid.
You want to
Just for two reasons. Yeah, even in Vivid, notice that you can still get it tuned down. So if I need the extra horsepower for that giant wall of windows, I can push it to Vivid, pull the color saturation down a little bit, make sure that my color temperature is in warm, and boom, it doesn't look garish and bad like a normal Vivid is. So we've got tons of light horsepower. What do you think? Excited? So we're giving you like mini LED brightness with OLED black in contrast.
I think before I came in here, my 77 C1 was bright enough for me. I didn't know what I was missing.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, 20%.
So again, you can, and there may be customers that don't like it that bright, or they prefer it brighter in the day, or they want it a little dimmer at night. It's really a preference, but that's an option. You have that choice. And that's what makes the difference, and it creates the opportunity for you to really create the setup that the customer wants using this television, the G3. Now, how many of you watch HDR content at home, have Netflix, Prime, Hulu, HBO Max? All of those have HDR movies on there. And what happens is usually when you're playing HDR content, you think it's going to look really bright and it's going to pop and be vibrant. But what do you end up finding? It ends up, it looks darker than what you thought it would.
It's an oxymoron. HDR brightness, nah.
Right. And so when HDR content and that signal is going out to the TV, most 4K HDR TVs are going to be able to do some type of tone mapping so that you can see the most optimal picture based on that HDR signal, but it's doing it to the capabilities of the TV. So some of them, they just do one tone map. They take the brightest pixel and the darkest pixel and they do an average over the entire content. So what do you think is going to happen if you do that?
Especially if the content is dark to start with.
And when your blacks are crushed, what are you going to end up missing in it?
The rays.
Yeah, that detail.
All of Game of Thrones, yes.
You're going to miss, that's a good point. You're going to miss detail, not just in the darks, but in the brights, because it's going to be based on whatever the average is over the entire movie, and that's what you're going to see. Now, in a 90-minute movie, it has an average of approximately 130,000 frames. And with OLED Dynamic Tone Mapping Pro, it's going to take each one of those 130,000 frames and it's going to tone map it. But before it does that, it's going to break it up into 20,000 blocks and it's going to do an individual tone map to each one of those blocks.
It's crazy.
So what do you think you're going to get as far as picture quality when it's done tone mapping that? You're going to get more detail. You're going to get more pop in the contrast. You're going to get richer, more vibrant colors. You're going to get those details that are in the highlights. You don't want those clips, and you don't, as he said, want your blacks crushed. So this is going to do an excellent job, and we're going to actually show you now what that looks like.
Media player?
Yes. Oh, one, right?
Right. You only need to do it on the G3.
Right.
All good. Oh, gaming's amazing. This guy's incredible. I don't know. It's like professional.
That's Greg during his workday.
Well, it is part of my job. Okay.
All right. Let me just make sure. Oh, let me fast forward this a bit. And we're going to show you what this looks like. I like going to, where is it? All right. Let's stop right there. And I'm just going to go into the menu. And this is to
it's
show you,
personalized.
again,
Yeah. Once we did the personalize, it applies it automatically to everything. So standard on this one.
okay.
Something happened.
Now, with Dynamic Tone Mapping Pro, this is for HDR content. So whenever it recognizes the HDR signal, this feature will become available. So if it's not HDR content, you won't even see this in the menu. Now, what do you think of this picture here that you're seeing? It's dark?
Yeah. Pretty
Now
typical of a dark HDR scene.
Now look.
Did anybody notice the difference?
Now, if they said no here.
Again, we can get you an appointment with an eye doctor.
So again, it's going to tone map that one frame over 20,000 blocks and look at the bright and the dark in each one of those blocks and do an individual tone map there.
So the cool thing is that HDR, which the complaint was, it looks too dim, HDR will not have the proper pop that it should have with all HDR content, which it's a huge difference. And once you do it with tone mapping on, you'll not want to do it with tone mapping off ever again.
Yeah, and I really liked it. Last session, Greg also showed this particular video for the tone mapping. And one of the things that we have new for this year too is expression enhancer. Oh, did not mean to do that. Is expression enhancer. And what that's going to do is it identifies objects or areas of interest in the screen that your eye would naturally be drawn to. And now it does an individual tone map of that. And it brings more expressiveness, more sharpness, more detail. And it's right here.
You'll see like the skin tones and the key objects. But the cool thing is that it gives you even more brightness, because
Yeah.
that has been really the big argument on OLED. OLED's not bright enough. Not now. G3 will hit close to 1400 nits brightness in a calibrated mode on peak highlights. That's well above the HDR 1000, which is what most things are mastered in. Yep. On an OLED. So yeehaw.
So those are.
Selling it outside.
I'll just leave it there for now. Oh, let's go back to the.
You want me to do it while you can talk?
Yeah, because what I found is sometimes I can't talk and press buttons at the same time.
All right. I think next we have
There we go.
processing.
Now, as you look at the Alpha 9 processor, and we spend time on this because it's really important to just have that understanding of how it's processing the information that you're seeing on the screen, you get a pretty standard HD content on there, and it's also doing upscaling, so lower resolution content, whether it's 480, 720, 1080, to bring it to near 4K, so that you get a sharper, clearer picture, more detail on there. You apply OLED Dynamic Tone Mapping Pro, the object and HDR expression enhancer, so that it's really causing those different objects or skin tones or whatever it is that your eye is being drawn to in that picture, so that ultimately you go from this before, that's kind of dark, you can't see some of those details, to really give you that nuanced picture so that he's standing out more and there's more detail that you're able to see in the picture. Not only in the bright areas, but also in the dark areas, which is important. And for there to be more color accuracy, whether you're bright or dark, across the entire content. And that's what the LG OLED C3 and G3 are doing.
So, one of our competitor talks a lot about processor. If you've gone to one of their trainings, that maybe 50% is all about, oh, amazing, our processor, all this great stuff, which is great. You do need good processing in a set. So our Alpha 9 Gen 6 is every bit as good as what you see from everybody else out there. In fact, when we run the video on both of these sets, and I got to make sure I'm in the, because it keeps jumping the settings. I got personalized here. We're going to make that cinema.
And
We have it on the
real
floor.
quick,
Standard. I'll just do standard on both. Yep. All right. There we go. Which TV is drawing your attention more, and why, of the two? The G looks better, a little bit better. Should probably a little better pop to the brightness, a little bit more richness. Colors really good on both. We're going to get it may show a little bit more shadow detail on this side because it's darker, but we definitely have the pop. So either one of these images, a customer would go, this is great, this is fantastic. And color richness, contrast brightness. The question is, what level signal do I need to make this happen? Well, on the TV on the left, notice that it's showing that it's 4K native. What we didn't tell you is the TV on the right, it jumped to, we're going to have to do this again. Because, all right, here we go. There we go. Do we see any differences? Still looks brighter on the right. What I had to do, I had a little boo-boo, and we may be in a different picture mode, but you're definitely drawn to the picture in either. But we definitely got the brightness, we got the richness, that extra pop. What we have done, and I sort of goofed up, but it's right now. This one is running, as I said, 4K content, but the one on the right, come on, pop up. You can see here 720p. So both TVs are running the same content, but as many times as we've run this, and I get people telling me the one on the right has more detail because it has more pop to it. But essentially, if you can give us an HD signal, we can convince you that it looks like 4K. So native 4K on the left still, 720p. If you look really, 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 really close, you can sometimes pick out slight differences. But this looks as detailed on each set. 4K versus 720. Yeah.
Incredible upscaler.
Yeah. So other than, you can't tell the resolution difference and everything looks comparable. So mic drop moment, instead of talking for 4 hours, we just want to show you how good the superscaler that we are now employing with the Alpha 9 Gen 6 makes everything look. Well, we can only do so much.
We'll make it look its best possible in that situation.
All right, what's next?
And then we have this other feature. It's called Room to Room Share. We came out with this last year. So if you have a television, either our C3 or G3, any of our TVs with the Alpha 9 processor, you're going to be able to take, if you look at right here, let's say this is your G3, your main TV, whether you have a set-top box, antenna, Blu-ray player, or gaming console connected to that, and you have another room in your house. And in this scenario, it would be the bedroom TV. So that would be your sub TV or your secondary TV that doesn't have any of those in the room. But now maybe you want to finish watching the basketball game in there, or you want to continue watching a movie from your Blu-ray player in that other room. You will be able to, as long as both TVs, everything is connected to the same network, you will be able to share what's on the primary TV on that secondary TV.
What type of delay, latency?
There's
It
not
really very little, and you'll see it here in a second.
Yeah, so long as you have a strong Wi-Fi signal, you should be fine. The only thing is, once you do that sharing, the main TV can no longer be used.
DRM. But it gives you a nice option if maybe you had a game console, it's on the other side of your, like my son has his living room TV next to his bedroom TV. He has his console on here and he's playing, but he wants to move to the bedroom TV. He could literally activate this and move his Xbox to the other side of the room without having to run any connections. It'll all go through Wi-Fi. Do you want to run it here? I got you all set up.
Which one is, wait, what did you just hand me?
Right hand, left hand.
No, that TV.
Oh, I totally messed up then.
This is what
Take it.
happens
All
when
right.
you have,
That's why I'm over here in the dunce chair.
okay, so let's say this G3 is your primary TV. You're watching Bond on there, but now you want to go into your bedroom, go to bed, and just finish watching the movie there. If you're like me, you'll fall asleep before it's done. What you do is you press the home button, and along this app bar, this icon right here for Room to Room Share, you would click on that. And then you want to send the screen to the other TV. So when you click on that, it's going to ask you which TV, and if you've renamed your TV, it's going to show up as whatever it is there. When you click on TV2,
You then send. Yeah.
it's going to ask you if this is what you want to send. You click on that, and then eventually you'll see pop up on the screen, do you want to watch on here? Since you want to, you press watch, and you'll see it's going to switch over.
And you can
And
see the
then-
latency between the two.
That TV. Yeah. Essentially, it doesn't completely turn off, but it just powers down, and you don't use that one. And then you can continue watching on here. Now, let's say you were watching, you know, a game. You can switch the channels, volume up and down, so you're not just set to that one thing that you have on the screen.
Does the receiving TV have to be a 2023 model?
2022 as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so
And-
2021.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
that's the cutoff.
2022 was.
Yeah, so you could actually send from a 2023 to a 2022. There is one big difference though. On the 2022s, it used EDID and only allowed you to send antenna through the TV, cable box, or satellite box. If I hooked up a game system, a Blu-ray player, DVD player, it would not let us send those over for DRM reasons. They've changed it this year. It's funny because we played the Blu-ray on the new 2023, and I can send it to the 2022 model. But if I try and send the same movie to the 2022 to the 2023, it says, no, it can only be a cable or satellite box. So that has changed. So they've been able to update it. So it's a little bit more usable than it was a year ago. But nobody else is doing something like that built into the TV, which is kind of cool.
Yeah. So any of the 2022 or 2023 TVs that employ our other processors, the Alpha 7 or the Alpha 5, will be able to receive only.
Yeah.
So the C3 and G3 will be able to send and receive.
But that's literally from our UQ 7000 and UR 9000, which are our entry-level 4K, all the way to the top. So everything 4K can receive a signal. So you could have TVs all over the house. If it's just one person, they have all the equipment in the living room, and they just run it to the TV, and they can send it to any other TV they're going to be in front of in the house. It's a lonely life, but sometimes you got to live it. So.
That does sound kind of lonely. And then we have Always Ready. I'm going to put this one back.
Sure, I can do that.
Now, this is a really nice feature. We came out with it last year. Again, any of our TVs with the Alpha 9 processor is going to be able to have this feature on there. And this really allows you to access artwork, video art. So it's moving pictures, your own pictures, a clock on there. When I'm at home and I'm not using the television, I have a clock on there. It shows me the weather as well. So it's really nice. And you can do it for up to 2 hours. So it defaults to 30 minutes, and then you can change the increments, I think, to an hour, 2 hours. At that point, it doesn't turn the TV off. It's in a standby mode. You can voice and ask it questions. You can say, hi, LG, and ask questions to the TV. And if you press the OK button, if you do input or home, it basically wakes the TV back up and you can continue using it. And, oh, you already have it here.
Yep.
So this is on Moments. This is a USB that was put in the TV, and it works with the Always Ready feature. So if you have content that you want to put on there, maybe it's a graduation, an anniversary, it's Christmas, whatever it is, you can put those pictures on there. And however you set it up on the USB, that's how it's going to play on the TV. You have to do a minimum of 16 photos on the USB, and it'll do it as a slideshow on there. You can also access this through our ThinQ app. And that ThinQ app is where you go and register any Wi-Fi compatible LG product. And then you would be able to pick from your gallery that's on your phone.
iPhone, whatever.
And then be able to play it here. But if you don't want to use that, we have Moving Art, which is really nice. And there's different ones on there that you could use depending on your preference.
And how much does this cost for those extra stuff?
It's free. It comes with the TV.
Download new content also.
Yeah. And then we have there's scenery, masterpiece, meditation, and we get updates to these. So they change around and it'll just play on your screen. We also have the clock here. And then you can pick, I personally like this one. And it just shows up on there and it moves around. So again, a really nice feature. If you're not going to use a TV, you don't have to have the TV turned off. If you did, when you're done, you power the TV off, it comes to Always Ready. If you want the TV completely off, you just press the power button a second time and it'll completely turn the TV off. So it's up to you.
Yes.
Yes, Alexa is built in. So you can do voice.
They can turn them on and off.
Uh,
Off and on.
The
Through
TV
Alexa, yes.
Yeah.
We had that issue a while back, where like earlier gens.
And then what's really nice, we came out with this in 2022. It's an
Wake up
OLED
lamp.
composite fiber material, and it's on our 55, 65, and 77 C series. So it's on our C2s, G2s, and this year again on our C2s and G3s in 55, 65, and 77 inches. The C3 also has this composite fiber material, and it makes it incredibly light. When we set up the 65-inch C3, my fiance picked it up. I don't have that much of a wingspan, but he picked it up and he was able to carry it by himself. And I mean, I helped him mount it, but it's when you're talking about transport, delivery, install, it's just going to make it easier. And you were talking last session about
if the customer wants like something on a really long swing arm, you know, if you have something really long, really low profile, let's say it's rated for a 50-inch TV. Well, a 50-inch TV is going to weigh in at about 55 pounds. That's a 77-inch OLED, weighs less than your average 50-inch LED like TV. So if you have sort of a certain situation where you really want to put a big panel, but then have the able to really stretch that arm out, that extra added lightness or removal of weight, added weightlessness, makes it it gives you some flexibility in some of the things you can install.
How come the C is so much lighter, like the 77C is 51 versus 30 pounds more, because the G3 is thinner, right?
It is. It's just more dense. But some of the technologies we're putting in there, to run a G brighter, we have to dissipate heat. So there are heat dissipation technologies and hardware that add extra weight. So it's a balancing act. So if you need something really light, C. If you want the whole package, better performance, G. But we give you options. So you have plenty of options to choose from.
And we already talked about light control architecture. And one of the things that we're going to show you now so that you see the differences between the C and the G, and this will be, even though this is the C2 we have here, this will apply to the C3 as well that we're showing you, but it's the super anti-reflective coating on there. And what that's going to do is minimize distractions because it's going to help to absorb that light so you don't have that reflection and glare coming back to you. So we're going to show you the differences between the two. And depending on the use case, if you have a customer who has windows or light coming in from behind them, you're going to see the G3 is going to be a much better option. If they have more light coming to the sides of the TV, then maybe the C is the better option. But again, it all depends on the setup, what the customer is looking for, what you want to give them. But with super anti-reflective on the G3, it makes a difference in any reflections that you see.
Okay. Bright lights, sorry. But you should be able to see, but by me holding them up here, you should be able to see the reflection on the left TV. Still has more definition. It attenuates it a lot, but I get a little bit more reflection here. But look at it compared to the, whoa, that was close. I'm just going to set it on the floor here. You can see that it's a lot more attenuated and softened here. So if you have a really bright room or bright environment, especially with lights or windows behind the couch, this is probably going to be the better choice of the two. And that is a difference in the different films that we're using. So better for bright rooms, still a good TV, but just be aware of the differences that the coatings provide.
So the C3 and C2 coating is the same?
C2, C3, same coating. G2, same coating as C2, C3. G3 has the new one. Yeah. So G gets the update.
And now Greg is going to talk to you about the actual design of the G3.
We'll talk G3. So show of hands, who has not installed an LG G Series OLED? Okay, so a few people. Some of you have. This may be pretty familiar. You ran off without the remote, but that's okay.
Oh.
So with all the Gs, we are using our own bracket. Comes in the box. It's the same for the 55 all the way to the 83. 97 is completely different. But very, very small profile, which is great. And if we look, where's the edit? There we go. Okay, so here it's got dual cleats. So we drop the TV on it and we'll go through setup. But on the 55 and the 65 G2 and G3, you would have cable management that you would terminate essentially in a back box here, kind of lower center. But on the 77 and 83, the cables are going to come in on the left side. So when you mount it on the wall, it's going to be this side of the TV. Of course, here we have it flipped over, so it's lower side. And out of the box, we do give you guide paper. You can see, here's the wall mount. There's the edge of the 55, the 65, the 77, and the 83. So you can get a general idea of where it's going to fit on the wall. You can see where the wall mount goes. We put that hopefully into a stud. Always a good idea. And then we stretched the bracket out, and we were laughing. We have little guides you can put there to make it easier to line up when you're trying to hang it from the side. We even give you, yes, the highest bit of technology, a fold-up box that fit there and hold in place. So when you go to press it, you're not missing the cleats and going flat and having to back it up again.
There you go.
Couple of safety clips. Run the holders. These will snap down to keep the cables from dancing outside the channels, so you can get it completely flat against the wall. Let's see. Extra guides here, so when we hang it up and get it close, you can see where the two guides should be almost touching, so it's kind of easier to line them up. Just a nice handy tool. We get it on the bracket, and then we remove the box, and then the safety clips we push in so it doesn't jump off the bracket. And then to get it flush, bracket's about here on the back of the TV, so just take and gently push. Gloves is actually a pretty good idea because that way you don't leave oil and don't have to take the fingerprints off the set. And then there's enough play, about 3 to 5 degrees, that you can get it leveled pretty quick and easy. Anybody have any feedback or special tips that y'all use? Yes, on the G3.
Make it bigger than 16 inch.
Yeah.
17, what are we at? 17 point, I know it's, I know. Trust me, I'd rather have a 24-inch. Okay, good point. Anything else? If I can fix that, I've saved the world. Perfect. All right, so on the 97-inch, the G2, we won't be rotating into a G3 until probably later this year because we introduced it at CEDIA. They like to keep things about a year. It does support a 600 by 400 VESA mount. The TV itself is only 123.5, so pretty light for a giant TV. But the mount is different on this one. It's 2 side mounts, one left, one right, 62.44, 62.5 on the middle. So we'll let you know about that. And by the way, if you need this information, we have it available and it's all in one spot. Does anybody know where all this information, mechanicals and such is?
The website?
reachlg.com, as it says right here. So if you haven't signed up as a dealer, we have all of our mechanicals, we have our CADs, we have public display mode, host diagnostics, all the things that you want to do with the TV, all that documentation is here. If you want a spec sheet, we've got it. You need a sell sheet to help sell the product that you send with a bid to a potential customer. You can download the PDF, send it all as a package. We have all of that. And we try and do it in one spot. So you're not asking Sean for it. He'll just send you here anyway. So, or actually Sean's nice. He'd probably download it and send it to you anyway, but it's just the way Sean is. And then we do have a floor stand if you don't want to stand wall mount it for the G2. It's about $1,500, but it's a $25,000 TV. So pretty small in comparison. Last but not least, we'll talk confidence.
Now, we've talked about how the G3 has gotten up to 70% brighter compared to our B3 OLED TVs in 2023. And because of the sophistication of the engineering and TV design that LG is doing, they're confident enough that they can offer a 5-year limited panel warranty. And for the first year, the warranty covers parts and labor, but in years 2 through 5, LG will cover the cost of the parts, and the consumer, all they have to do is cover the labor. If they had an issue with the G3, or if they have a Z2, then that it applies to that TV as well.
So why wouldn't we cover the labor years 2 through 5? It is a good question. And there's actually a logical reason. We have way too many dealers that like to sell warranties with their TV sales. So if we offered parts and labor on the warranty, it would kill opportunity for add-on warranty sales. So we said, we'll do the part to show the confidence, and we'll just leave the labor off so you still have a conduit to be able to sell add-on warranties. I know, makes logical sense when you think about it.
So here's some of the step-up features going from the C3 to the G3. It's going to be up to 70% brighter. Again, that's on the 55, 65, and 77-inch. That anti-reflective coating with the lighting demo that Greg did, that's on the 55, 65, and 77-inch G3s as well. You have that light control architecture. Again, that's going to help to, take all the light and redirect it and focus it so that it's coming through the screen, helping to maintain that brightness of the image that you see there. That anti-reflective coating, that one wall, so you have that nice flush look on the wall. The 5-year penalty is on there as well. You got the slim mount next gen, the ATSC 3.0, Wi-Fi 6. It's certified, so you get faster reliability all around, better
And you can
connection.
get a table stand as well. And I want to show you something, a little magic trick here. Earlier, those looked as brighter than this TV over here. Now that they've been sitting there for a while, they look dimmer. Anybody want to guess why? Who said standby mode? What would that mean?
Kind of dims down a bit.
Why? Oh, it kind of dims down a little bit. That's actually kind of smart because we talked about ways to mitigate image retention. Watch this. Pay attention, magic trick. I'm going to press play again. Watch what happens on both of those TVs after about a second. They actually brighten back up. So they have a signal monitor is one of the things that we do is it holds like a pause like we just did. It will slowly get darker and darker and darker and darker and darker. But as soon as the video goes active again, it goes, oh, video's back on, and it goes back to its normal setting. But that's one of the things we do to protect the TVs. So it just hit me, so I thought I'd
No, that's
talk
great.
about it.
And then there's for the 55, 65, and 77 inch, an optional G3 table stand if they needed to put it on a stand versus wall mounting it. But again, with the G3, the goal and the aim is to install it on the wall.
Correct.
No, that's sold separately.
Yeah, and it actually goes, there's a 55 through 83. The
Three.
77, the 83 are the same stand.
Okay.
Is the width of this the same with the TV?
No,
No.
it's a small, basically very similar to what the C2 is. It's sort of a mid-pedestal sort of stand.
Now, here's some things to consider about the G3. When you're talking with your customers, you're going to get the highest performance and design, picture quality features out of the G3 compared to any of our OLEDs that we're carrying in 2023. And it's primarily an install required product, and that's better for you. It comes with the mount in the box. So you don't have to go looking for the mount or how, getting a VESA mount. You can use the mount that comes in the box with it. And again, you're going to get that nice one wall look when you put it on there because it's meant to be flush. There's no connect box added to this.
What? Yay!
All of the components are built into the TV, so that just makes it easier as well. It doesn't have the velocity like the OLED C3, so pricing is going to be more stable. So if you're planning something with a customer today, but you need it 3 months, 4 months, 6 months down the road, you're not going to have all of these different price drops and it changes and you have to go back to your customer because it was lower when you talked and now it's higher again and go through that uncomfortable conversation.
Did you
with
say
them.
no clubs?
And it's not in any clubs.
No Costco?
The A last year and B this year?
You will see probably a B or a C.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Machinations of those in the clubs.
Yeah. Again, it has a 5-year panel warranty, and we have in the G3 series a 55-inch, 65, 77, 83, and of course the 97-inch that you can offer your customer. And since customers are wanting to go bigger, we have those options in our best 4K OLED TV for 2023. Now here's the step. Of course, like I mentioned earlier, we have the B3, 55, 65, 77. This is our introductory model. And it's a really great set. You get good gaming performance out of there, but you can jump up to the C3. That's going to give you the largest amount of screen sizes from 42 all the way on up to 83 inches. It's going to be 20% brighter than the B3, so it's going to have a punchier look to it. But ultimately, you want to land in our most premium 4K OLED TV, which is going to be the G3, up to 70% brighter with Brightness Booster Max, again, on that 55, 65, and 77 inch, up to 30% brightness on that 83. So any of the TVs within this particular series is going to give you a brighter image, and it's going to process that content incredibly.
And one thing, a couple of our viewers have already done the G3 review, as well as some of the new competitive OLEDs. The G3 so far has been the brightest tested OLED yet. And they have tested the QD Tech OLEDs as well. So people love the brightness. It's definitely helped. And we know that it's going to run stable. It's not going to have the issues with image retention that we might see with other sets.
And of course, if they just want the latest and greatest in resolution technology, we do have the Z2, which is a carryover from 2022, and 77 and 88 inches. So does a customer want to go higher resolution, 88 inches, or would they prefer to go 4K at 97 inches? I would prefer
I think most customers are going the larger screen size, 97, 4K. Just out of curiosity, what have your customers been pushing more for? Are they pushing 8K, that they want to have 8K, or they prefer to have a better, bigger 4K? Yeah, that's kind of what we're experiencing as well. So,
There's not much 8K content.
yeah, I mean, that 88 8K is phenomenal, but I'd rather have the extra size in 4K because, like you said, there's plenty of content out there.
And our OLEDs are so good that we received a Technology and Engineering Emmy back in 2021 because not only is our OLEDs more accurate with better contrast, it's used as a reference display by Hollywood studios and production studios because of that. So when they're looking and they're mastering their content and they want to see and make sure that it's exactly how they want it to look, they're using our consumer grade OLEDs.
Yeah. You know why? LG OLEDs are utilized by more post-production and Hollywood studios for client reviews because we can calibrate them automatically better than any other consumer display. Number one, if you have a competitive consumer OLED, if I'm doing grayscale, how many calibration points for grayscale are there usually, if you're lucky? 10, 22? We do a 22. With LG OLED, it's 1,024 calibration points for grayscale alone. Then color, you're lucky to get a high and a low, 3 primaries. Lucky if you get the secondaries, a high and a low, maybe 12 adjustable color points. LG OLED, 35,937 calibratable color points in a 3D color LUT matrix. Yes, so they calibrate our sets and we can get them this close to that $30,000 Sony reference monitor that they use, but I can do it in a 55-inch for $1,500 instead of a 32-inch for $30,000.
And then we wanted to show you this because for 2023, we have a new soundbar. We call it the Soundbar C, and it's designed to match with both our C2 and C3 OLED TVs. And you use that spacer. It comes with the bracket in the box for the Soundbar C. This will work with any C series 55, 65, and 77 inch. So you can bring the two of them together with that bracket, the TV and the soundbar, and mount it on the wall or put it on a piece of furniture.
Yeah, all the bracket pieces come with the soundbar.
Yes. Did I say that backwards?
I don't remember.
Ethernet modes with the fire speakers?
Yep.
Yes. And the way it's set up, it's not going to interfere with the IR, and it's also not going to interfere with the speakers. So it sticks out enough. So with those 3 up-firing speakers, you're still going to be able to hear it. There's not going to be any interference in that way.
Surround speakers with
Yes, you can get our rear speaker kit with that soundbar C.
Yeah, it's a 3.1.3. Go ahead and hit the next slide. You can see sort of the configuration. But the cool thing about LG soundbars is when you get into our premium, they all have, of course, a center channel, but they uniquely have the only up-firing center channel in the industry, which means that dialogue's even easier to hear, and it helps to lift the sound of dialogue to where it sounds more like coming from the TV. But UDemo is a dialogue solution for customers, and it's so dramatic versus just the regular TV speakers. It's pretty much a slam dunk, and the fact that it integrates easily with the C-Series OLED. If you're not going to do a G, do a C with a soundbar or an audio solution of some sort.
And then we have the OLED Flex. Now we came out with this last year. It's a C-Series OLED Evo, but it's a TV and a gaming monitor. So you can go, as you see there, Martin is using it. With the push of a button, you can get up to 20 incremental curves, up to a 900R curve, which means when you're gaming, what is that? You're like just over 2 feet away from it?
It's just under like 31.5 inches. Yeah. Your eyeball and the curve are at the same equidistance, and you get the feeling that you're stepped into almost VR without a headset. It's crazy. That curvature is about double the curvature you'll find on most of the monitors. They're normally about 1800R. We're half that, or it's actually double the curvature down to 900. Yep.
And so all of those gaming features that we talked about earlier on, they're in here. And then if you don't feel like gaming anymore, you wanted to give your hands a break, you can put it completely flat and continue to watch TV.
Netflix, Disney, all that stuff. So it has all the same smart as the televisions do.
This is 42 inches.
42 only right now.
We'll get out of that. And then we have the LG OLED Pose. This is a piece that it comes in 55 or 48 inches. It's to blend into the decor in your home. It's a C-Series OLED Evo TV, so you're getting all of that OLED picture quality on there. It's got a great premium fabric. So if you have someone who really has a high-end house or modern home, they want a niche product in there that functions every bit as a TV with great picture quality, you have this as an option as well. On the back are where all of your inputs are. There's like a shelf that is on there. So if you wanted to put books or magazines, you could do that as well. So it's not only a great TV, it's also a design element and a focus feature in the room.
The key thing is we're giving you options, not just a flat panel on the wall. And we've got other products like this that we're introducing to market. So as the product category expands, we'll give you more cool products to show off.
So when we look at the ABCs and 1, 2, 3s of LG in 2023, we have the Alpha 9 processor. That's going to cause brightness booster max on our C and our G series TV to look its brightest and its best. We're so confident on the G3, we'll give you a 5-year limited panel warranty. Again, LG doesn't just think about the function with the picture quality, but also design elements like the zero gap on our G series. And we also have WebOS 23, which is our smart platform. So we're going to do a quick knowledge check here on OLED. Shout it out if you want to, or do you want them to raise their hands?
You're in charge here. I'm just going to throw hats at people.
We'll try and figure out who said it first. What feature helps HDR look like proper HDR instead of overly dark?
Ooh,
He said it.
he has a
Dynamic tone mapping.
Longhorn hat
Whoa.
on. We'll get him something better.
How many blocks does Dynamic Tone Mapping Pro utilize? Yes.
20,000. They both came up with it. I love it.
Now, up to how much brighter can the 55 through 77 G3 get? 70? All right. Either you answer fast or I read slow. Now, what are the details of the LG? Okay, but besides just 5-year,
Limited warranty, parts and labor,
yes, he said it and he said it.
Anybody else?
Beanies? We have beanies as well.
Yeah.
Where do you get the wall mount for the G3? He said it in the box. That's right.
I heard several in the boxes. We're not shy with hats.
I need a beanie.
Oh, you need a beanie?
We
we'll
should have, yeah, there's right
Did you
here.
say it?
Take another hat.
Who said it? Did I miss anybody? Okay.
Oh yeah, that's a beanie?
Yes, we should have more. And then why is selling the G3 better than the C3 or B3?
Brightness. The brightness.
For you. Why is it better for you to sell it?
Yeah.
Price stability, definitely. I like this. Business card holders. Phone holders. What else? There are more things.
That's right. Thank you. You were reading my
There you go.
mind.
What else? There's plenty of other things. I had like 20 things up there. Oh, come on. Oh, by the way,
Custom install.
I have another pen. The other key thing is it has a higher spiff on it than the C series. You're going to get about a $35 higher spiff at equal sizes through the entire range. So 55 through 77. All right.
Now is
What's that?
what display mode and all that we're already at.
I know. All good. I'm going to fly.
Okay.
All right. Let's talk a little bit about any questions. What do you think of the G series this year? It's a monster. I mean, we took 720p, made you think it was 4K. We made it as brighter than our mini LED over here. It's a monster, and I think any customer that would have it with the design and the features and the performance, they're going to be ecstatic.
That's the biggest upgrade since year 1 to year 2 over the last 10 years.
Oh yeah, I agree. That 70% jump, and I have a feeling that on the larger screen sizes, we'll see that happen very quickly, maybe the next generation, because they are working on it. All right, so who all does custom integration installation around here? See, it's just exercise, just make sure you're awake. Is there any IP control system that you use that we don't have listed that's important? Everybody's good? So that's good. Public display mode. Everybody familiar with that? Be able to go in, tweak the settings of the TV. So if I'm doing a commercial install. What's that?
There's oversee plans for the future.
Which one?
URC?
Oh, it's actually active now.
It is, okay.
Yeah, everything on the board here should be active. Yep. There's nothing on there that we don't do work with. We'll talk about HDMI diagnostics. I'll touch on calibration, but it's a good conversation after the meeting. Now, on the LG OLED, or any of the LG products, this is our 4K TV all the way through our top of the line 8K OLED. If I want to get into public display mode, let's see, I'm gonna actually, it always seems to work better if I'm on a TV input, either our LG channels or a TV channel. Take the settings button, press it, hold it, keep holding it, keep holding it, keep holding it until I get the channel banner thing pops up on the screen. And because I'm not on an actual channel, that's why. Okay, let's go in and get the content going. Yes, play. Yes, okay. So I want this going. So I press and hold, press and hold, press and hold. And when it comes back to the channel banner, 1105 and enter, and ta-da, public display mode. So once I do this, I then have to activate it if I want to utilize it. So we would do this. I will let you know that if you activate it, that always ready feature that we did on the OLED, the artwork and stuff, it's not going to run. Because now I'm telling it I'm using this more in a commercial or a specific sort of application. Instead of going through everything here, I've got it all listed up on the board here. So once we're in it, settings-wise, for power, if I'm on a master power switch, it's when I power on, it receives power, it turns on. It either goes to standby or whatever it was doing previously, whether it was on or off, it returns to that state. For volume, I can set minimums, I can set maximums, I can have when it turns on to 20 or 30 or whatever the client feels like is the appropriate volume. That's your start volume. Or I can basically maximum volume down to 0, minimum volume, no volume control. If we do key management, I can make the IR operation or the on product operation normal, only the power works, or nothing works. You can kill all the buttons from IR to physical on the set. And then the one that really, I get asked this all the time, you know what would be really good? If you could take your LG smart TV and make it dumb. I mean, just as dumb as humanly possible. We just want to turn on, go to an input, and just display. Well, perfect. With limited mode, we activate that. You can't access the setup menu. You won't change channels. You won't show any of the menus, and nothing from the OSD. So if you get an alert, there's a new app available, that stuff will not show. So it basically becomes a dumb display television. So if you want to hook up an Apple TV and run it through IP control, this is where you ultimately want to go and switch everything on there. I'm not going to worry about DTV channel, but your input, your power on default, I can set, either any one of the HDMIs, so it'll default there. And then on the next slide, the aux settings, if I want any other inputs to be accessible, I can activate or deactivate those. So if I only want to use HDMI 1 and nothing else, I can turn those all off and they won't become accessible. So again, it becomes more of a dumb, direct HDMI sort of display. And last but not least, power management, I turn it off because it means that once the TV's on, it will run 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7 hours. Business day is usually longer than that. Turn it off and just let them do it on a master switch. So otherwise, if I set it 3 hours, after 3 hours, the TV will automatically turn itself off. But there may be situations that you need that. We do offer it. Now, a question had come up. You can go in and change the password. There is, the default is set to 0000 out of the box. You can go in there and change that for your company specifically. So if it's your job, your product, you can set your own passwords. And then we did have a question about USB cloning. This is really important and helpful because if you're doing, let's say, a sports bar and you're doing 20, 30, 40 TVs and you need them set up and you don't want the volume to crank up or you want the volume to crank up and you have all these settings that you want to do, all you have to do is get it right on the first TV. So you go through all the settings that we just talked about, you get it lined out, and then, it popped off. Essentially, I go over here to export. I put a USB into the TV, I export it, and it sends all those settings over to a USB jump drive. Then from TV 2 to 50, I pull a USB, stick it in, come into this, and just import. But that way, every time I do it, I know every setting is exactly like the first, second, third, fourth. So it allows consistency. It is good. And setup ID, if you're using remote controls, especially our Magic remotes, we have 3 TVs, they're all set on set ID, they all talk and they all interfere with one another. If I set this to where each one is different, you get 1, 2, 3, 4, there's up to 99, so a lot. You have 99 different TVs that you can set for. You've noticed that when we run the TVs, they're not interfering because each one's on a different set ID. And IP control I can access here, or for 2023, IP control.
That's the Q&A.
Wrong TV. Oh, sorry, I'm.
Should be that one. Yeah.
Ta-da, ta-da. All right, if we go under the regular settings and then jump down to general support. So if I go menu, support, IP control is actually in the main menu. There is no special hidden menu to get to IP control. If you're doing control 4, of course, it does have the switch for SDDP. So I'd flip that. If it's not, I don't flip that button for everybody else. Go into IP control and then turn that on. It'll generate the code, which I then put in as the security on the system. You should be set to go. Also, Wake on LAN. Of course, when you make that active, be able to control it with IP. But boom, you're in, you're set, got your key code, should be good to go. One other interesting feature while we're in here, come out, it'll take me back to the menu. We go under General, go to Channels, go over to Channel Tuning, and just start pressing the button 1. It'll bring up host information for the set memory, file allocation table if I have a hard drive connected, battery information, it seems like it's fine. Wi-Fi status, HDMI status, so I can go down and see I'm getting a 3840 by 2160 progressive signal HDMI. So if you're at a job site, you've got a 100-foot run of HDMI, or you're running a HD base T and you're converting it back over, am I getting a signal there or not? Your HDMI signal checker is all the way back in the truck. You can actually fire up the TV, go to this, and see if you're actually receiving and syncing up with your HDMI signal right on the set. So it'll save you some steps and some time if you run into one of those sort of scenarios. Dun, 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 dun. And of course, where do you get all this information that we just covered? Because you'll forget everything unless you wrote it all down or took lots of pictures. Reach LG. Who said Reach LG? Who haven't I given it something to?
I don't have a beanie yet.
You don't have a beanie? Well, I don't know about beanies. Who hasn't gotten a hat yet? Hat? You need a hat. Sure, why not? You need a hat. Wear it or not, you can give it away if you don't. Well, have another hat. This is my hat. If it's on the floor. Hat? Who hasn't gotten a hat? Hat. Oh, you've got like everything I've given out. But you know what? You ask, so it's all you got to do is ask. All right, so Reach LG, and don't forget, who in here is not registered and taking advantage of spiffs? Okay, that's a good sign.
Yeah, I haven't done a spiff. Boy, I had problems with it before, and I bought a lot of TVs, and I didn't get on my spiffs.
Did you do it within 90 days of selling the TVs and the customer taking delivery?
I did. What was going on was, people wasn't recognizing certain things. I don't know what it wasn't recognizing.
Okay.
But yeah, I had a lot of TVs. Like, you look back on last year, the amount of TVs
Okay.
So what I do is I said this the other day, Earl, and I had him come into my office. I had a login in front of me. He clicked on the wrong mouse, so it was his fault. That's things we did, but like bring that to my attention. Bring that
Yeah, we want to make sure you get paid.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't want you guys. Yeah, he ended up getting like a little over. It was like $1,500 on one job. So,
All right. I gotta move because I got 2 minutes to get everything done, I think. If you run into any CI integration issues, Denon and an Oppo player not talking to the LG TV, you want to call Joe Colombo at joe.colombo@lge.com.
The 833 number, everybody saves.
Yeah, this is And then your CI guy for the East is Don Haran. So he would be the guy that you want to reach out to if you have, other issues, questions about product. If you don't want to bug Sean, well, we get that. But those are the two off of this that you're going to want to try and reach out to if you run into difficulties and need support. Everybody got what they need?
Nope. What's that number?
833-288-8397.
Again, that's 833-288-8397.
She has a much better voice for TV than I do. 833-297. What's that? Airplane? Oh, AirPlay.
Yeah.
I haven't heard anything of it, but we could call Joe and find out if he's got the latest.
You can give me an answer.
Huh.
With AirPods, we had a problem with AirPods. Brain,
If you're connecting up to Bluetooth and to the,
connecting
yeah, we don't offer 100% compatibility with all Bluetooth headphones. There can be some quirks out there. Apple could be notorious for some of those quirks, but yeah, I have all the other headphones I have work fine.
Mine's always show up on that TV. I don't use it.
Yeah, okay, shows up. All right, one other thing we did want to highlight while we were here was if you're doing OLED, but maybe you've got another room, you got to go with a big TV. Normally, you go from OLED, a lot of people run to other brands. We have got our QNED TV over here, which we've been watching. Everybody been watching this TV over here too?
Yeah.
How does it look?
Okay.
It looks good. And the key thing is that it is bright, like the OLED. Let's see if we can get me back to the main menu. Okay. Some content going on it here. But it looks good with Daydream. We had it in some of the same modes. Do I have the right remote for it? Got to reset this. Bump it up. All right. Let's see if it lands this time. Should be fine. Yeah, we're good. But if I take it off of Cinema Home, I could definitely get it to be very bright, very punchy, very dynamic, which is great. This is a mini LED, so we have lots of zones, lots of ability to get deep, dark black on the screen at the same time as I'm running, bright highlights. Let's go back and look at, boom, look at the fish here. Looks pretty good. What's important to know is that if the customer's on a budget, whereas a 77C3, not even a G3, is going to run either 3,500 or 4,400, I can get you into a 75-inch one of those for $2,000, and an 86-inch version of one of these for about $3,000. So a lot of dealers, if you were used to migrating to a competitive television, this is a good fallback. You're going to get very, very, very good quality, very comparable to our OLEDs, similar color, similar contrast, but a fraction of the price.
I missed it. You saying the price you said.
Yeah, right up here. Oops, I keep hitting the wrong button. I'm used to mine. You can see that whereas the 77 C3 starts at $35 and runs to $52.99, you're looking $2,000 to $3,000 here. And if you compare it to the G3, which the brightness is more in line with the G3, you're saving $64 to $3, so it's $3,400 essentially difference. So it's a real good fallback to go bigger screen sizes, but not give up a lot in terms of performance. That is the QNED. The 80 and the 85 would be the series to look at.
And those both go up to 86 inches, the QNED 80 and the QNED 85.
Right. The big difference is the one on the right, the QNED 85, has mini LED backlight, where this uses LED standard backlighting. It is local zone or local dimming, but they're both 120 hertz. They support VRR, all the gaming features, so they're really good fallbacks from the OLED to keep, get size for the money. All right. One last thing, and then we're going to turn it over to Todd. Oh, is he here? Oh, there he is. If you look at the back of the room, we have our HU915QB projector. This is our new, just won the shootout for projectors last year. It was the #1 rated by a long shot. This is, notice even with a chair in front of it, of course it's an ultra short throw, so I cast no shadow on it, which is great. And look at the lighting that we have in the room. This, in a the mode it's in, we can put out upwards of 3,000 ANSI lumens, which is well above what you find for a lot of the premium, even Sony and JVCs in the less than $10,000 range. So if you're wanting to go from 90 to 120 inch, this thing has got a lot of pop, it's got great detail. Normally we're using, companies will use the TI 0.47 chipset to create the image. This is using the 0.66. It's a larger imager. It has more contrast. It actually has more pixels. So it ends up with a sharper image and it has more contrast capability. Now, how many people here do JVC projectors? Okay, you know that they utilize the tone mapping. They do it by frame. We also have frame by frame tone mapping on our projector. If we go into advanced settings, we also have the brightness optimizer. So I can set the iris that if I'm in a bright environment like this, I can crank it up and open the iris and let more light through. Or when I go to a dark room mode, it lowers it and gives me a better black level. So I can actually select better brightness, better black level to match my environment. Not only that, this projector, like the JVC, which is significantly more, has adaptive contrast. So it will, at high, it will again drop the floor in real time, giving you deeper black along with the iris setting. And then it'll get brighter again. So it modulates the triple laser that we're using. And whereas at $11,000, JVC only offers their RS2100, which is a brand new projector. I just saw the review on it. They measured it at 86% DCI, which is our OLEDs and QNEDs do almost 100%. This actually does an honest 100%. So it actually has better color than the JVC does at a fraction of the price. So all good stuff. And it is fully smart. So it has our full WebOS system. I can go to Bluetooth, optical, eARC. It can be an all-in-one TV solution, or I can connect it to any other outside audio device. But this is, Sean, if I remember, $64.99 and good margin.
Yeah, you're making good margin, and LG's done a great job protecting you for the CI channel. But the black one in particular has the IP control settings in there, and very few price changes throughout the year. Thank you much. It's in stock. Obviously, it looks great. Short throw windows starting to take off.
Run through the last couple of slides and get us out.
No, it's separate. Yeah. So you want to make sure you do an ELR screen. Short throw screens are meant to block light, lines. Be careful when you install it.
Yep.
I'm telling you, 3 hours away, and turn up the loud and 3 away on the screen. So just be careful when you're installing it.
Whose screen do you use? You said retail.
We use so we sell Screen Innovations. Yeah, that is not a Screen Innovation screen. That is another brand. Yes.
So real quickly, there is a white version of this. It's brighter, but not as high a contrast or lumen. But it's AutoCal and IP controllable. And the QB, the B for black, is the CI model. We also have what we've been watching all day, which is the AU810. This is also a CI projector made specifically for your category. It's dual laser, but 2700 ANSI still almost full DCI color fidelity, which you need for HDR and 4K. Auto calibration, IP control. It's got triggers, HDMI 2.1, and eARC are all included. Still fully smart. $4,000, good margin for you. A lot of Epson customers have looked at it. And if you're ever doing something where you need high brightness, we've got the GRU 510, 5,000 ANSI lumens laser. So lots of course. Yep. So 4, 4, and 65.
Yeah, that's actually the AU810 right there.
So it has powered this whole session. All right. And with that, any questions before we turn it over to Todd?
Sorry, the AU810 is 4K?
Yes, laser 4K 2700 ANSI. Yes, triple laser in the back, dual laser on the 810. Everything LG makes is either LED, laser, or hybrid LED and laser together. All right. Before we turn it over, if you do us a quick favor, don't forget reachlg.com and then scan it and answer the 5 questions. You can do it whenever.
And then, yeah, so thank you, Greg and Rochelle. Amazing session.
Woohoo!
Thank you so much.